Thank you, everybody. I'm calling the first meeting of 2026 to order at 7:02 on Tuesday, January 20th. Yesterday was a federal holiday as we remembered the incredible legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. His legacy of peaceful resistance lives on, and one of our residents in particular embodies his spirit every day. Wilberta Richardson is such a strong advocate for our town and has stepped up on so many different committees. I'm going to read a few to you. Wilberta is the president of the Altadena NAACP. She also has held the position as the chair of ACT-SO, that's ACT-SO, for 15 years. ACT-SO is an educational program of the NAACP for high school students. The acronym stands for Academic, Cultural, Technological, Scientific Olympics of the Mind. This program is a national program, and Altadena has earned the distinction of being the most accomplished ACT-SO program in the state of California. Wilberta is a member of Supervisor Barger's coalition, the CCAR, which is the Community Coalition for Altadena Recovery. Wilberta has been a part of the Eaton Fire Long-Term Recovery Group at the Collaborative and is the vice chair of the Advocacy Committee. She was recently appointed to the county's AWRIFD, that's Altadena Wildfire Recovery Infrastructure Financing District, one of only 2 members of our community, along with 3 supervisors who sit on that board. Thank you for that, Wilberta. The purpose is to guide the use of funds as they become available to rebuild the infrastructure of Altadena. And Wilberta has been a lawyer with the City of Los Angeles and recently retired after 30 years from the Civil Liability Section as Managing Senior Assistant City Attorney. Please help me welcome Wilberta.
Thank you. I feel welcomed, I really do. Well, Nick asked me this afternoon if I would give you some quotes or share some thoughts about Martin Luther King. And since this is his birthday season, I want to give you a couple of facts and some quotes. He was only 39 years old when he was assassinated and had accomplished so much in those short years. Had he lived, he would be 97 years old today. He was a gifted student who skipped grades. He entered Morehouse College at 15, graduating with a sociology degree, and later earned a divinity degree and a doctorate in theology from Boston University. He received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964 and became the youngest recipient at age 35 for this nonviolent struggle. In 1967, he attempted to expand his movement beyond racism to protest the Vietnam War. But opposition from the Black community and from Washington, D.C. caused him to stop. He wanted to address economic problems such as poverty, unemployment, to make janitors, hospital workers, seasonal laborers, and the destitute of the Appalachian Mountains, and work along with the student militants and pacifist intellectuals. However, he did not get much support from any segment of the population. In 1967, at the National Conference on New Politics, he gave his 3 Evils of Society speech. One of the most famous speeches, though people mostly know, I Have a Dream. Dr. King identified them, the 3 evils: racism, economic exploitation, militarism, often called them a triple-pronged sickness, interconnected and needing radical change to overcome. He emphasized that these 3 evils feed each other, requiring a fundamental revolution of values where people are valued over profit and power. He said when machines and computers, profit motives and property rights are considered more important than people, the giant triplets of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism are incapable of being conquered. Another quote, "We must see now that the evils of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism are all tied together, and you can't get rid of one without getting rid of the other." This radical stance alienated some supporters, but remains profoundly relevant today. Let us never forget this man's great legacy.
Thank you. Wilberta, we, per tradition, when we have an honored guest doing our kickoff, we like to present a gift. It's just a beautiful Altadena mug. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Moving on to 1.2 roll call. I'm turning to our recording secretary, Sylvia Vega, to please call roll.
Good evening, council members. When I call your name, please say present or here. Connor Cipolla.
Present.
Morgan Rutledge.
Present.
Nic Arnzen.
Present.
Kim Yu.
Present.
Melissa Marona.
Here.
Dorothy Wong.
Here.
John Carmody.
Here.
Darlene Greene.
Present.
Anton Anderson.
Present.
Isis Molden.
Present.
Pat Sutherland.
Here.
Vi Yvette Stewart Gordon.
Present.
Justin Moramus.
Here.
Reginald Wilkins.
Here.
Diane Markison.
Here.
Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Moving on to 1.3, approving January 20th, 26 meeting agenda. Vice Chair Melissa Marona.
Thank you. Good evening, fellow council members and community members. There are agendas at the back of the room as well as public comment cards. There's also a camera, so make sure, council members, that you speak into the microphones. And the council welcomes input from the community on both agendized and non-agendized items. If you would like to make public comment, please fill out the card at the back of the room and give it to the council person on either end of the tables. And additionally, we would like to remind everyone in the room to please silence your phones and other noise-making devices. As the council does not respond to public comment during the meeting, if you would like to a response, please include your contact information on that public comment card. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes, and these guidelines are in place to ensure that everyone wishing to make a public comment has the time to do so, and that we can conduct this meeting in an orderly fashion. Council members, the Altadena Town Council Executive Committee met on Monday, January 5th to set the agenda for tonight's meeting and was sent to you on Friday, January 16th, and several other times because I made a few mistakes. I have the following requested changes. 1.1 was changed from flag salute to Wilberta Richardson, president of the NAACP MLK reading, as well as 4.4 U.S. EPA Harry Allen will be added to the agenda. Are there any additional modifications to the agenda this evening? Hearing none, I move the agenda be approved with said changes.
Second.
We have a move and a second. Let's take a vote. All those approve?
Aye.
Object? Abstain? Ayes have it. Thank you, Vice Chair Marona. We're moving on to the officers' reports. I'll start with the chair's reports. First of all, I want to thank the council for trusting me in this position. Last year was an incredibly challenging year, and I believe the executive committee and the full council really stepped up and have rose to that challenge. I'm very proud of what we did last year, and I'm excited to move forward with you all. It's an honor to step in this role at this pivotal moment in our town's history. I look forward to focusing on community first going forward. I encourage us all to look for ways to uplift each other's efforts and tireless work of so many community organizations, institutions, individuals. There's so much hard work happening out there, and we have much to be proud of as a town and much work ahead of us. 2025 was an incredibly difficult year. And moving forward, I believe the key to recovery is finding every way possible to keep us connected, listening to each other, finding ways to work together. In the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., we must not seek to defeat or humiliate, but to win friendship and understanding. On a note of business, I have asked former council member Chris O'Malley to remain as our official parliamentarian. Chris has accepted. Tomorrow night, Wednesday, January 21st, is the annual LA Homeless Count. Volunteers for our area will be meeting at Loma Alta Park at 7 p.m. to do this important work. Thank you, Dorothy, for leading this once again. And thank you, Vi, for suggesting the ATC help out with arranging refreshments for the volunteers. It was a great suggestion. I appreciate that. Council, we have committed to bring food and drink, and will be arriving between 6:30 and 7 p.m. If you're able to join me and others to help us keep these folks energized and focused on their task, please do. Big thanks to Prime Pizza and Grocery Outlet. And lastly, we'll make a little pivot here. It's with heavy heart that we note the passing of recent Town Council member Alan Peck. Alan passed away last week, and today was his viewing and service. I remember sitting on the library lawn with Alan after he was first elected and talking about the ideas he had to connect the town and connect our census tracts. He was passionate, he was focused, he was kind. We need more of that. Many of you likely met him at countless community functions selling his homemade Peck's preserves. On behalf of the council, we send our warmest gratitude to Janelle for sharing him with us, and our deepest condolences in the loss of your husband, your business partner, and your best friend. He fought his battle well, and Janelle fought boldly next to him every step of the way. I wish them both peace. Please join me in a moment of silence to honor our friend, neighbor, and a faithful volunteer for Altadena, Alan Peck. Thank you all. I turn to the Vice Chair's report. Vice Chair Marona.
Thank you.
Can I make
wanted
one
to-
correction, Madam Vice Chair? Brother Allen, his viewing was tonight, is tonight up until, well, it was over at 4, but however, his viewing is, his service is tomorrow at Angela's Funeral Home in Los Angeles, and it will be at 2 o'clock. So, thank you.
Thank you, Council Member. I just wanted to add a few more items to the Chair's report. January is Mental Wellness Month, a time to take care of yourself after the holidays. But for many Altadena, it is more than that, especially after the 1-year anniversary of the fire. Yesterday, I was reading on Facebook and I saw this post that kind of summed up what I think about when I think about mental wellness here in Altadena. I wonder if there's going to be any acknowledgement of those fire victims who are suffering from anxiety, depression, PTSD, broken marriages, failed relationships, students struggling in school, workers being unable to concentrate at work, etc. Today, may we be mindful that we should be a community that comes together for those who are struggling and hanging on day to day. They are all around us. So I say, let's reach out to one another, be kind, and remember we are all dealing with hard things. And yet for substantial support, the Eaton Fire Collaborative provides counseling, crisis stabilization, and case management. Foothill Family has a program called the Eaton Bloom, and they offer up to 10 free therapy sessions. I noted a number of other ones, and we will get that on our Instagram shortly. Making another pivot on to highlight things that we could feel good about, there are several businesses that have opened within the last few weeks, and a few are about to join them in opening. We had Jack's Cleaners on Washington, which hosted a wonderful event on Saturday, was joined by local businesses Domenico's, Susie Sweets, Baja Cali, Carmela Ice Cream, and our own council member, Realtor Sylvia Vega. Sedeca will be opening again after they unfortunately had some flooding after they reopened from the fire damage. Also on Saturday, Giant Steps on Lake had an open house showing off the newly renovated interior of their building. They have done an incredible job with the building, and Chair Arnzen reports that he was thrilled to see our local Meals on Wheels have found a home there. A couple blocks up from there was Wet Paws, which celebrated their return, and down a few doors from them, I'm excited to say that Days E Thrift will have their official grand opening next Saturday at 10:30. So we're getting some businesses back, everybody. Council members, am I missing anything from the last few weeks or next few weeks of anyone opening? Okay. It's great to hear these businesses are opening. I'm looking forward to many more. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. 2.3, turning to recording secretary. Who is our recording secretary?
Sylvia Vega.
Vega.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So good to.
Yes, thank you. Council members, I sent you the December 2025 meeting minutes on Tuesday, January 13th for review. Since then, I've received no changes to the minutes, so I'm going to open up the option for any changes at this time. Pat?
Yeah, the change that I did send to you is to please, and I know I forgot what number it was, but I also, I also, changes. Yeah, where's my, anyway, please add my name to the people that had,
Okay,
thank you.
will do. Noted. Okay. With that change, I'd like to make a motion to approve the December 2025 minutes as presented with that change.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those who approve, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstain? All right. The ayes have it. Thank you, Councilmember Vega. We're moving on to our treasurer's report with Councilmember Greene.
Good evening. The Altadena Town Council relies on the generous support of our community to help our ongoing work. At this time, we're going to pass around the donation can. This beautiful thing, we're going to kind of also have a paddle going forward so you can also zell us if you want to help. We're just going to thank you so much for your continued support. I'm now going to give the treasurer's report. This is the year-end financial summary for the 2025 calendar year. The figures that we're reporting tonight were provided to me by Milissa, Marona, the previous treasurer. For the 2025 calendar year, our beginning balance was $1,601.83. We have 54 deposits that equaled $8,620. Our total expenses were $4,958.60, leaving us a whopping balance of $5,263.23. The itemized figures are going to be distributed later on in the meeting. Any questions regarding these transactions for the prior year can go directly to our former treasurer going forward. All current and future financial reporting will come to me. This concludes my treasurer's report.
Thank you, Treasurer. Moving on to 2.5, Correspondence Secretary, Councilmember Yu.
Good evening, council members. First of all, I want to thank you to all of you for entrusting me with the work of the corresponding secretary. The bylaws are specific to upkeeping of the website, but hopefully with the new updates in the bylaws, it would expand to include social media accounts, which I've been working on with the assistance of Councilmember Marona and community member Kristen Dockery. If you're watching, thank you. She helps us a lot with our website. So please don't hesitate to reach out to me with information and updates that you want to share through our website or our socials. If you find something important that you really want to get out to the community, as many outlets as we can, and our website and our socials are one of those. So send me stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Yu. We're moving on to public safety reports. First up, Captain Marquez with the Altadena Sheriff Station report. Come on down.
How are you doing tonight? So crime is down. I think the big thing over the past year was the residential burglaries. Last month, as you can see in the report, we had 2 residential burglaries. For the most part, all the crime is down. The only problem with those numbers is that it's hard to keep those numbers so low. We're doing the best we can, and I hope I don't have to come back and tell you the numbers have gone up. But we're doing the best we can. And some encouraging things. We still encourage contractors to get a hold of us, or homeowners that are having construction done to their homes, to contact us. We can go out, meet with you, let you know that what things you can do to mitigate any kind of crime at your construction site. We encourage contractors to secure their equipment and property. Don't leave your trucks open and available for things to be stolen off the back of the truck while you're doing construction. Leaving the vehicle out in the open, anybody can walk by and take things, just like if it's your car. You wouldn't leave your cell phone inside your car and just walk away from it. You always secure your property. But if you'd like to have your home checked by us, the Sheriff's Department, and you're under construction, go to Altadena Home Checks, or excuse me, email us at altadenahomechecks@lesd.org, and we'll send a car over and put you in the rotation to check your property. We had a great event that we helped put on January 4th, the Altadena Forever Run. I think it was very successful. We had about 3,300 people actually signed up. 2,900 people picked up their race packets, and we had about 2,500 runners show up, even though it was raining or it was supposed to rain, and we had a little break. As many of you know, I saw many of you there. And we're still, we're planning on giving out the medals and the shirts that we did not have available, because what ended up happening is that we had so many people sign up. We'd ordered about 2,000 medals and shirts, and we had to shut it down because we didn't have enough to supply everybody else. But we had so much, I guess, enthusiasm for the run that we reopened it up with the premise that we would give you a shirt and a medal at a following time, which will be most likely in February when we have everything. And we had about over 1,000 people sign up after that. So, and we still had people coming in the last few days after we closed the registration begging us to sign up for the run. So as of right now, we are planning to have the Altadena Forever Run next year, but the following weekend. So I think it's the Sunday, January 10th, 2027. We have another community event that we're putting on this Saturday in front of the Sheriff's Station. It's going to be our dog adoption. So January 24th, between 11 and 2 p.m., in front of the Altadena Sheriff's Station, we are partnering with the Pasadena Humane Society to help people in the area adopt pets. We're calling it a dog adoption, but it obviously it would be a pet adoption. Outside of that, is there any questions?
Thank you, Council. Do we have any questions for Captain Marquez? Councilmember Worlidge?
Hi, Captain. It's nice to meet you. First of all, just thank you for the instructions that you were giving out to the community about setting up fencing, signs, all of those things. My community definitely took that seriously. We set up a lot of those things. And I happen to live on a private street, and so we do have some cameras set up, things like that. I did get a report from one of my neighbors that there was theft of her trail cams, and so she has obviously documentations of the theft. And she was having a little bit of a hard time actually making a report and following up. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention and make sure that if there's any follow-up that we can do, you know, what the best route would be if we have evidence, how to present that to you guys.
Did she have a report filed at the station or have a deputy come out to the
I believe
house?
she went down to the station and then she was trying to follow up and was unsuccessful.
So, yeah, it depends on what kind of information we have, if there's any follow-up. Oftentimes what happens if we don't have any leads per se, there's not a lot to follow up on, but I can certainly have a detective contact her.
Absolutely, and I have some evidence that I can see you after the fact,
Sure.
But I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
You can always, I'll give you my card and you can email me.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Councilmember Marona?
Thanks, Captain Marquez. This is more of a comment, but also a question for confirmation. So the home check policy, for those who are now back living at home but are still on the list, they should actively remove themselves from the list, correct?
Correct. If the whole program was set up with the premise of vacant homes, because we had a rash of people coming in the community taking advantage of the fact that people were had their homes vacant for maybe there was some kind of smoke remediation that was being done, and we had some I guess not people that took advantage of that situation to see what they could steal while the residents were gone. So we were doing all kinds of different measures, really thinking outside the box, some things we could do to help the community, things that normally a law enforcement agency wouldn't do. But we felt that it was just strategies we took to try to lower the crime rate, and I think it was fairly successful. But if they are now living in their homes, they should contact us. But right now, we're pretty much focusing now and transitioning to just construction checks, because that's where we feel is going to be the ongoing problem in the next, actually, for a few years. Yeah. I think we have about 500 homes right now under construction, or going to be under construction. And so with that, that just adds a lot of opportunities for criminals. We expect to have at least 1,500 homes probably under construction by the end of the year. So, you know, that's just a lot of different things that are out there, and there's only so many of us. So if you do have your house under construction, we ask you to really, take those steps to secure your property and to help us out, because we're only, we only have so many resources to go around. So.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Captain. Any other questions? Thank you, Captain.
All right.
We're going to move on to California Highway Patrol. Officer Keller, did I see? Oh, all right. We're switching off.
Good evening, Council, members of the public. I'm Officer Brian Bay with the California Highway Patrol, and I'll be providing this evening's safety debriefing, if you will. So the CHP in Altadena investigated actually a total of 5 traffic crashes for the month of December. You heard that correctly, only 5. To give you some context, last year in 2024, we investigated 11 in the month of December. So quite a substantial reduction there. I have to look into why that is, but it could just be that people are driving safely and conscientiously, but we try and make sure that we're out there and obeying the rules of the road. So to break down that number, a total of 5, 1 being investigated for driving under the influence, another one for hit and run, and the other 2 for just minor damage and minor injuries. I would like to have a safety tip for the month of December. So we encountered some rain the past couple of weeks, and I would like to urge drivers to be aware on the 210, Interstate 210, and other freeways to travel within the middle lanes when it is raining. That way, the Caltrans does the best that they can to engineer these roadways to make sure that water does not pool in the middle or anywhere else, but it tends to pool on the sides, as we all kind of see. So if you're a new driver, or you're teaching somebody, or maybe you just kind of forgot about it, try to drive in the middle lanes as much as possible. We also have a big sporting event coming up. I know it's next month, but in a few weeks is Super Bowl, so please do not drive drunk. We have so many ride-share opportunities, and be a good designated driver if you are going to be taking on that role. As well as we had the Super Bowl a couple weeks ago. Hopefully everyone enjoyed the wet and rainy weather, but also a good time as well. I would like to highlight a few e-bike safety laws. I know e-bikes have been a very hot topic in terms of our youth being involved with that, as well as other forms of transportation. So there are some new laws in terms of classifying electric bicycles, and what is termed is more noted as like an off-highway electric bicycle compared to just an electric bicycle itself. So Assembly Bill 554 kind of talks about the way that young riders are going to be more seen during the day with e-bikes, that they're going to require a flashing red light or some kind of visibility to that electric bike, as well as there's more responsibility for parents or guardians if these young riders are not obeying the rules of the road by wearing safety helmets. So it kind of gives law enforcement a little bit more opportunities to educate, but also enforce these rules so that our youth are not hurt in any way. Finally, going forward, we do have some more pedestrian safety where school zones can be lowered 5 miles an hour if determined by the governing ordinance regarding that, as well as some speed enforcement. I don't want to stand up here and talk about assembly bills and state bills all evening, but I just wanted to highlight some of those things so that so you know that the CHP is aware of that and we are going to be enforcing those laws.
Thank you, Officer. We do have a legislative committee and a new legislative chair that
Okay.
I'm sure will be interested in talking to you
Definitely.
separately. Any questions for Officer Bay? Seeing none, I thank you very much, Officer Bay.
Thank you very much. I would like to highlight one more thing. We, CHP, we collected about 3,000 toys for Chips for Kids, so thank you very much for anyone who has donated or supported us. We distributed that to the local Altadena area and La Crescenta area, but the majority here in Altadena. So it was a great event.
Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Let's bring up Maria Grycan, the Community Services Liaison for Los Angeles County Fire Department, Division 3. Good to see you, Maria.
Good evening and Happy New Year, and that's the last time I'm going to say it. For the month of December, we had a total of 214 responses in Altadena. 153 of those were for medical calls, with 116 patients transported. We also had 5 traffic collisions. We don't normally match numbers with CHP, but this time we did. And what was really interesting was he actually contacted me because he said, I'm only showing 5, and that's really low. What have you got? And I also have 5, so it was low. We had 1 fire on December 12th on Homewood Drive, and it was accidental in nature. It was welding being performed earlier in the day for a sliding door that had been put into a new second-story balcony. So something went wrong there and produced a fire, and it caused $15,000 worth of damage. That is it for the stats. Our safety tip of the month is we had a few warmer days recently, but it is going to start getting cold again. And when it gets cold, people start breaking out the space heaters. And we just want to make sure that you're using your space heater very, very safely. Every year, hundreds of fires are started by their improper use. So we want to make sure that space heaters are put onto a level, hard, non-flammable surface, not on carpet. Make sure the heater is at least 3 feet away from any flammable materials, bedding, towels, drapes, furniture, anything like that. Keep it away from there. Keep children and pets away from space heaters, and always turn the heater off when you leave the room. Turn it back on when you come back in. And please do not leave it on when you go to sleep. That is not a good idea. Outside of that, the only other announcement that I have, and on the back table, we do have flyers for CERT training. CERT training is coming to Altadena in March over 3 Saturdays. I believe it's March 7th, 14th, and 21st. It'll be right here in this room. On those Saturdays from 9 to 5 each day. So it's a total of 20 hours of instruction. It's very, very worthwhile training. It is just every way you can think of to respond and be prepared for any type of disaster that happens, whether it's fire again or the earthquake, which is, we're overdue, a lot of people say. But it goes through, it's free, and it goes through how to organize your neighbors, how to work as a team, disaster medical operations, how to triage victims, how to treat them. It's not a first aid class, but it is disaster medical operations. Search and rescue, we don't turn you into search and rescue experts, but we certainly teach you the basics of what you need to know, and most importantly, how to stay safe while you're performing certain types of operations, how to put out small fires, psychology that happens when you're trying to help people. There's a psychology that happens with the rescuers, and there's a psychology that happens with the person that you're trying to help, and how you deal with those dynamics. The incident command system, which is what first responders use to organize themselves so that they can respond to incidents. We teach you the same principles for that. We teach you how to use a fire extinguisher, and we will use live fire and teach you how to do that. And then just basic readiness, preparedness. I think that covers all the modules. But again, the training is free. We encourage everybody, and there's flyers in the back, and you can sign up. Registration is open. And we already have, and Kim, where are you? Kim, there you are. I know you're going to sign up. I think we already have about 14, 15 people signed up for the class. So that's a good, and that's before I even got the flyers out. So that's a good response so far. So I hope that everybody can join us.
Great.
Any questions?
Thank you, Maria. Council members, any questions?
I have a
Go
question.
ahead,
Is there an
Councilmember
age limit?
Okay, so the age limit, obviously 18 and over is fine. 16 and 17-year-olds with parental consent. And I do just like to talk to the parents just to let them know, because we don't change the curriculum, so that they know what we are going to be talking about ahead of time. 15 and younger, again, I will talk to the parent. I will teach 15 and younger. I've had students as young as 10. And in my Agua Dulce class right now, I have 2 10-year-olds in the class. But for 15 and younger, at least one parent must also be registered into the class and taking the class with them, because quite frankly, I'm not a babysitting service. So.
Thank you. Councilmember Molden.
The Seventh-day Adventist and Ms. Jones would like to especially thank you for the toy donation.
Oh.
Those toys ended up for kids on Skid Row after Christmas, so
Happy
thank
to
you.
do it. Happy to do that. And next year, any time, happy to do that.
Thank you. Councilmember Carmody. Councilmember Anderson.
Is this the only time this course will be offered this year?
That depends. It can be offered again if there is community interest. We would certainly entertain another offering.
Is there a maximum number of people?
Whatever the room will fit. We do have a minimum. The minimum is 20, because when you get too low, you don't get teamwork and the team dynamics. So we do set a minimum of 20. But as many people as we can cram in this room, that's how many I'll take.
Councilmember Rowledge.
Just date, location again, please.
Right here, March 7th, 14th, and 21st, 3 Saturdays.
Can I,
Any other questions?
yeah, I have.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Councilmember Carmody.
Yeah, forgot about me, Nick.
Did I get it wrong?
No, it's me.
Councilmember Carmody, please.
Oh, hi. Is there anything that we could share on our community pages, like a post or something that we can push it out on our community pages that get people interested in?
I did send the flyer to all the council members.
Oh, you did? I didn't get it. Okay.
Yeah, with the report that I sent
Okay, cool.
today. I
Awesome.
sent it today. So there is a flyer in there if you want to put that on. Dorothy, you're trying to tell me something.
No, the dates are just different
Oh, what did I put?
on the flyer.
Is it 14th, 21st, 28th?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. March 14th, 21st, and 28th. My mistake.
Thank you. Councilmember
Those are
Stewart
what's on the flyer is the correct date.
I have one more question. I have my green badge. I was certified through the county like 5 years ago. So is there a refresher, or are you just good to go?
Well, there's 2 answers to that question. You are good to go. There's no refresher, but I would encourage you to take it again.
Okay.
And I do encourage people to take it because it does change. There's certain things that change over time. So it's always a good idea to take it every maybe 3 to 5 years.
Any more questions? Councilmember Yu.
Not a question, just a statement for you, Vi. The CERT, Altadena CERT meets regularly. Our next meeting is February 4th, so if you're already certified and you've gone through the training, you should come to our meetings and join the Altadena CERT team. That's all.
Thank you. Councilmember Yu, what time on the 4th?
4:30, so
Thank you.
it's
In
open
this
to
building?
everybody.
Right here?
It's here.
Yes, right here.
Thank you. Other questions? All right, Maria, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to turn to community reports. We've got some great guests tonight. We're going to start out with Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office, Ryann Jorban, Deputy in Charge, Economics and Labor Justice Unit, and Consumer Protection Division. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. My name is Ryann Jorban. I am a deputy with the LA County District Attorney's Office. I run our economic justice and our labor justice units, which are part of our Consumer Protection Division. And I'm here tonight, and thank you for inviting me to talk about a program that we are doing with the District Attorney's Office to support the Altadena rebuild. Little bit about me. I have been a member of the Pasadena Jewish Temple for 35 years, so obviously I have a very special place in my heart right now. And my sister was an Altadena resident, will be an Altadena resident again one day. And also lost her house in the fires. So this is all very dear to me. While we live in La Crescenta, and while we were out of our home, I called my boss and said, we need to start a task force to start with enforcement for the rebuild, because we knew that immediately when there's vulnerability, there's fraud. And that's my specialty, is vulnerable victims who are, whose vulnerability makes them susceptible to systematic fraud and systematic labor violations. So we have the Rebuild LA Task Force. We look at labor, contractor, loan, and other systematic defraudment of our communities, our two fire zone communities, the Palisades and here in Eaton. We specialize in what I call, again, systematic. So people who look for multiple victims or systematically go through the community. We work with the DCBA, I was very excited to see that up there, as one of our investigating agencies, and the Contractor State Licensing Board. And perhaps the council heard, and perhaps some of the community members heard about a sting that was done here in Altadena. That was my unit. We put it together with the task force to try to discourage, as we start to see those 500, 900, hopefully thousands of homes brought back to our community, to try to discourage people who would come into our community and use this as an opportunity to defraud others. As part of that, we have a poster, flyer, and we also will have lawn signs available for those who are willing to put them up. I have them with me in Spanish and Armenian as well as English, but we have other languages too, and I would love to hear from council members if there's a particular language you think your community could use these in. We would love to make sure that that happens. Language access is key to helping our community in any situation. But what the sign says is it's specifically about unlicensed contractors. And in the two lower corners, we have two QR codes. One directly allows people to check whether or not they are hiring a licensed contractor, which is incredibly important. And then the other is if you believe that you have been a victim of fraud or other type of misconduct by a contractor, whether it's unlicensed contractor or fraud, this will directly lead you to the Contractor State Licensing Board, where you can file a complaint. And they should start with either the Department of Business Consumer Affairs or the Contractor State Licensing Board. They do the intake for those and then give them to us, because we don't have those resources, because frankly, we're in court and we're prosecuting people and we're putting together stings and then arraigning them. So we want to make sure you go through the least number of bureaucratic steps possible. So starting with DCBA or the Contractor State Licensing Board is a great way to do this. If you have a business or a place where you would be willing to post these signs, we would really appreciate that. Getting the word out about this is key. In fact, she's about to be very embarrassed. My kid is sitting there taking photos for me so that we can put this up on social media to make sure that anytime we can and will warn people about being victims of fraud. That kind of education is absolutely necessary. So again, thank you for having me so I can do that. And apparently I'm supposed to give a safety tip of the day. So my safety tip of the day is this. For a lot of us, we think an unlicensed contractor, there are worse crimes, and 100%, there are worse crimes. I do human trafficking, okay? But what happens when somebody hires an unlicensed contractor is the dangers to our community, the danger to the homeowner, and the danger to the workers goes up exponentially. When you hire an unlicensed contractor, they are much less likely to have insurance. So if somebody gets hurt on your property, it's suddenly your issue that they've gotten hurt. It's your insurance that's going to be hit. That person may not be able to get the medical care that they need. They may not have workers' rights or protection or be paid a living wage. And in the state of California, we can sometimes be on the hook for if we hire someone who has hired someone and not paid them fairly. So both for the ethical aspect of we want to make sure people who are working hard to rebuild our city are being paid fairly, we also want to make sure for our own financial and insurance safety. The other part of this is that work has to be permitted. If it's not permitted, and I did not know this, and it's terrifying to me, and it's built, and they find out it's not permitted, you have to tear it down and start again. Nobody wants that, and so by making sure that you're hiring a licensed contractor, the chance that it's permitted and properly checked goes up significantly higher. We had one unlicensed contractor who we found, and the reason he no longer had a license is because he owed over $30,000 in back wages to his employees, and he had not had workers' comp for several years, and he had had several injured employees. So it is a felony in a fire emergency, well, in any emergency zone, to hire an unlicensed contractor. Not for you, not for the person who hires them. They're a victim whether they did it knowingly or not. But for the contractor it is. And that's because we have 9,000 buildings that we need to rebuild for our community. And we need to make sure that they are built correctly and they are built right the first time, and that everyone who is involved in that is safe, well taken care of, and gets the protection that they deserve, as well as the homeowners get the work that they deserve. So I will have these in the back. We can get you more. We can get you as many as you want. And if you're interested and willing to put up a lawn sign, we would really appreciate that. I will give you my email right now. It's R. Gerber, like the baby food, Gerber, at da.lacounty, all one word, .gov. That's rgerber at da.lacounty.gov. And if you want a lawn sign, please feel free to reach out to me. We will get you them. We are looking for places to post this in public areas in Altadena, so any way you can help me with that to get that message out, to give people easy access to checking that they are hiring someone who will do the job for them right and will treat their workers well, I would appreciate. And thank you so much for having me come and speak to you about this.
Thank you, Ryan. I can see this as personal indeed, and I appreciate that. I think we feel confident you're going to stay on this. To that end, before we take council members' questions, I just want to ask those lawn signs and the other signs, can we have any stock of them in this building or at the collaborative for residents?
Yes, absolutely. If you contact me and give me a number, we will get them for you.
Thank you very much.
And I will personally deliver them, as I did, I think that's when we met, when I delivered some to the collaborative.
It was indeed.
Yeah.
Council members, any questions? Councilmember Vega?
Since the captain and the deputies are going to be going out and doing site visits with people who are going to start construction, probably be a good idea to get a pile over to the station.
I am happy to do that. We request that people request them so we know that they want them. And I'm happy to, contact any deputies and get them whatever they want. And, maybe we can talk about putting them up on the station's front lawn. Thank you. And doing other outreach like that. Thank you for that suggestion. I appreciate it.
Any other questions, council members? Appreciate you being here, making it a family affair. You should be very proud of your mother. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to LA County Department of Planning. Brian McGinnis, Senior Planner. They're not what?
Good evening. My name is Brian McGinnis. I am a Senior Regional Planner on LA County Planning's Disaster Recovery Team. I am joined here by my colleague.
I'm Clark Taylor, also from Regional Planning, not on the Disaster Recovery Team, but I work on the planning and policy documents for the areas that include Altadena.
I have met quite a few of you at the Altadena One Stop Permit Center, located at 464 West Woodbury Road. For anyone who has not been there, LA County Planning, Building and Safety, Public Health, LA County Fire, FEMA, and more agencies are there, and you can come in, either walk in or by appointment. I also want to say we have a new and improved recovery.lacounty.gov. Once again, that's recovery.lacounty.gov. And one thing I want to plug is the permitting progress dashboard. So, oh, wonderful. Okay, you have it up there. Difficult to make out, but it's okay, because I took notes. So it's updated multiple times a day. So of the 2,751 applications that have been received, wonderful, thank you. So it's, it's much more granular than I could ever, I only have a few minutes, I could ever do it justice, but if you're interested, go on here, poke around. If you click there, it teases apart Eaton and Palisades fire-affected areas. Click on Eaton. There we go. So of the 5,936 affected parcels, 2,700, a little difficult to make out, but that first bar there, 2,751 applications received. 2,400 zoning reviews have been cleared. So that is the first hurdle, is regional planning. After that, you get routed on to public health if you were not connected to a public sewer. Otherwise, you go straight to building and safety and fire. So of the 2,400 zoning clearances received, 1,300 building permits have been issued as of today. And of those, 589 rebuilds are under construction. And 8 building permits have been finalized. And so 8 structures have received their certificate of occupancy. So yeah, we're working up ahead of steam here. But stay tuned, watch this. Like I said, it's updated multiple times a day. So for real-time data. There you have it. And Clark, did you want to say a few words?
Yeah, just going forward, my team is working on a capital improvement plan for the West San Gabriel Valley, which will include plans to identify infrastructure needs, funding sources, and other tools to be sure that we are building the type of infrastructure we want in the future. And so what's unique about this project is typically in capital improvement plan is a response to the most urgent needs. But in this go round, we really want to get a lot of public feedback. I know I've spoken to many of you already. So look out for notices, surveys, and other sort of engagement opportunities with LA County Regional Planning so that you can have a voice in shaping where future infrastructure projects will be going, both within Altadena and within kind of the West San Gabriel Valley area in general. So feel free to reach out to me and I can give you a QR code to kind of scan and find out more information. Or you can simply Google, it's a word salad, but the West San Gabriel Valley capital improvement plan, and you'll get right to our webpage. So feel free to hit me up after the meeting, and I can give you more information. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll take questions from the council. Councilmember Carmody, and I do want to say we've started listening to the council on our agenda items, and Councilmember Carmody and other council members asked us to have you here, so I appreciate that, council members. Go ahead.
Thanks, guys, for showing up. This is great. This is great progress. I'm just curious, do you guys have any sort of consistent issues or errors or things that you can share that people might help them if they come across, or how do they get about, going about moving forward that you can share that we can then take to our census tracts to say, hey, if you come up with this issue, this is how you can solve that or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I can speak for planning, my department. Things we see, common errors are, off the top of my head, incomplete submittals. So we'll have everything except, say, the property is owned by a trust or an LLC. One often overlooked necessary item that needs to be submitted is proof of ownership, and that can be a page from the trust documents just showing that the signatures on the owner acknowledgement form match who is behind the trust. That's one often overlooked one if we're talking about properties owned by trust or LLCs. Other things, if you're doing a non-like-for-like rebuild, then the Altadena Community Standards District and the residential design standards apply in their entirety. If you're doing a like-for-like, it's a different story. I just tell folks, do drop in if you can. You can make it into the One-Stop Center on Woodbury. We're there Monday through Friday and Saturday by virtual appointment. Or just pick up the phone and call us. Go on the website, at the very bare minimum, and just orient yourself. I'm still getting kind of reoriented to the website because everything is it's new and improved, but I rely on muscle memory, and so I'm kind of getting my bearings again. But there's all kinds of stuff on there. If you want, you can run your plans through our e-check pilot program, free of charge, and AI takes a crack at it before a flesh and blood planner does. So you can get it'll either give you a clean bill of health, or it'll tell you, you got to fix this, this, and this, and it'll save time and money. So
that's awesome, thank you.
Yeah.
One more quick question. The dashboard's awesome, I think it's fantastic. Obviously, we all here represent different census tracts, and I think it came up that it would be fantastic if we can maybe filter to see individual census tracts and how well they're doing, and if there's commonality and information that we can share within our census tract to see how well they're doing, and if there's issues that come up that we could sort of represent and just know sort of what's going on individually, if that, again, is
For
something
sure.
we can do, yeah.
Yeah, it was a little difficult to make out, but there's a map, and it's incredibly detailed. And you can zoom in and see the types of projects, where they're at, and it's all on a GIS layer. But yeah, calling out specific census tracts, that is a great idea. I'd love to run that by the team who does the upkeep for the dashboard.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Thank you. More questions? Go ahead, Councilmember Molden.
Out of the numbers of applicants that you have, how many are multifamily? Do you have data on that? And also commercial?
Yes, so the overwhelming majority on there, Clark, do you hold up by chance? I know the overwhelming majority is single-family residential, quite a few ADUs, if you look closely. I believe, off the top of my head, I looked recently, I think there was been one multifamily project that was constructed, and I think one is in review, but the vast majority is, can you filter out? Yeah, let's see here. So yeah, if you click on, I don't know who's got the mouse, but click on plans in review there. Yeah, there you go. When I say granular data, it really is, so there, my eyesight is not that good. I'm looking at it on my phone here. I believe multifamily.
And I would suggest, in the interest of time, maybe we can all explore this a
Yeah,
little deeper.
yeah.
And we do have, we're only halfway through our agenda, so I don't mean to
For
cut
sure.
you off. But, and I think we also talked about a differentiation between senior and multi-unit, yeah. So I'm assuming we can probably dig deeper and find some of that on there?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
If you have any follow-up questions, just drop us a line, recovery@planning.lacounty.gov.
Thank you. Council member, more questions? Go ahead.
I just want to give a
Councilmember
real big, quick plug to the website, which is, correct me if I'm wrong, recovery.lacounty.gov.
Yes. Recovery.lacounty.gov, not to be confused with recovery@planning.lacounty.gov,
Right.
which is our email address.
But just to say, I visited this website religiously. The questions that come up, most of them are there, and it is a fantastic resource, and everyone should visit that website and take advantage of the resources that are up there, and planning has done a great job on it. So thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian, Clark. Any other questions, council members? All right, we will move on. Thanks again for being here.
Thank you very much.
I'm moving on to item 4.3, library. We've got the ALD Director, Nikki Winslow. Hello.
Hi, good evening. Good to see everyone. Happy New Year. So I'll be quick. I know we have a big agenda. So I do have my slides. Thank you, Kim. A lot of my presentation tonight is going to be about the fact that the main library is closing at the end of January, so I'll be covering that. My first slide shows our hours, our operating hours through the end of January, so for about the next week and a half. Our Bob Lucas Library is open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6. The main library, Monday, Tuesday, 10 to 8. Wednesday through Friday, 10 to 6, Saturdays 10 to 4. And then our Loma Alta site is open Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, Monday through Friday, and then on Saturdays from 10 to 4. And again, that's only for the next week and a half. So as you can see, and I didn't mention, we'll be closed for President's Day next month. But starting February 2nd, I'm very excited to announce that we're going to be open 7 days a week. Yay. That's something that I've been asked for since I started 6 years ago. So our beautiful Bob Lucas Library will be open 7 days a week. Hours will be Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. So we'll also be open till 8 o'clock every night of the week, except Fridays. Friday, Saturday, 10 to 5, and then Sundays from 1 to 5. So exciting. Our beautiful Altadena Library at Loma Alta Park will be open Monday through Thursday, 10 to 6, and then Fridays and Saturdays from 10 to 5. Just a reminder that we'll have computer services at both of those locations, and we're going to be moving our Fab Lab up to Loma Alta Park as well, and reopening that at some point in February. Woo, okay. So I did also want to remind everyone we have our 2 mobile library units. The plan is while main library is closed, we're going to have those all over town. We're setting up regular, consistent spots so that you'd be able to know that like every Tuesday it's at Grocery Outlet. And you can go, you can check out items, you can return them, and get library services all throughout the community. So keep an eye out for that. So location, details, and time to be determined. But we're also working with local schools. I met with Odyssey Charter School today, so that we're, again, taking the vans out and all over town to expand our footprint while Main is closed. I am excited to announce that the Bob Lucas Mural Project is happening this weekend. The design was put together with almost 80 people participating back in October to give ideas of how the design would look. Last night, they were putting it up on the wall, and it's looking really great. So community members can sign up in 2-hour time slots, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Most of them are full from what I understand. There are a few spots left, so if you're interested, you can try to sign up. You just go to the website, click on the link, it'll tell you whether or not it's filled. And if not, you can just show up and watch people paint. So really exciting to have our new mural coming back. And just a reminder, the original artist from 1999 is one of the lead people working on it. So there's definitely bridging the gap between both murals. So in terms of the main library building project update, as I mentioned, we're going to be closed after January 31st. I did meet with the land use committee earlier this month for ahead of the conditional use permit process. I'll be talking about that in a little bit tonight as well. Our hearing to get the CUP will hopefully take place in February, and I'm excited to announce that we awarded a contract to Icon West to be the construction company that will hopefully start construction in the beginning of March. So real quick, want to touch on the timeline. Last day open next Saturday, or a week from Saturday. We're going to be doing a huge book and furniture sale at the main library, February 18th through the 21st. Not exactly sure about the time yet, but if you're interested, there's going to be a lot of things being sold. So spread the word, not just books, but like all kinds of furniture, craft supplies, all the things that we have to clear out of the library. And then we're going to be doing our groundbreaking for the construction on Saturday, February 28th at 10 a.m. So exciting news, long time coming. So real quick, our Altadena Poets Laureate spring season kicked off. They'll be doing their next program on Saturday, January 24th in the main library community room from 2 to 4. That's called From Ashes to Renewal, Voices of Resilience in Altadena, and open mic. If you know local poets, they can come sign up, and the first 10 to sign up get to speak at the program as well, or read their work. I also can't believe we're already in the process of selecting our next 2 poets. The application process is open, so if you know anyone that may be interested in serving as our next poet laureate, or one of the 2, please encourage them to visit the website. Deadline is February 15th. And lastly, we're celebrating Black History Month in February with several different programs. We partnered with Altadena Historical Society and the Altadena NAACP to offer the Legacy of Buffalo Soldiers in the U.S. Army, a presentation by Charles Hancock. That'll be at Bob Lucas on February 3rd from 6 to 7:30, as well as a Celebrating Black Artists for Kids workshop at Loma Alta Park on February 19th from 4 to 5. And then again, another Poets Laureate program taking place at the Loma Alta Park Mirror Room, so in the other building, on February 28th from 2 to 4, as well as lots of book displays and bookmarks and other things celebrating Black History Month. And that's all I've got. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you. I do want to point out that the library has an incredible website where you can find a lot of this information. Also, congratulations on your appointment on the State Board of Special Districts.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Thank you.
Well earned.
Thank you.
And I'm glad to have you represent us up there. Council members, any questions? Go ahead, Councilmember Carmody.
Hey, Nikki.
Hi.
How are you? You're always my favorite. I'm just saying. I'm just curious, since the opening of the Bob Lucas Library, how's it been? How's the feedback been? The attendance? Like, I'm just curious to hear since then, how's it been going? And obviously, it'll increase after this branch closes, but I'm curious to hear how's it been so far.
The greatest amount of feedback I've gotten is how much people absolutely love the design. They just are so happy with the expansion of the space, especially the outdoor space and the designated children's area. I do think there's been an increase to children's programming because of having the designated area, but I do know the traffic will pick up once the main library does close, so spread the word. And we're actually going to be installing a system called Open Plus as well, where patrons will have access when the library is closed too. So you can set up your library card. Let's say you want to go in Sunday morning before we're technically open. You'd be able to get access, just not like staff assistance. So Bob's going to be open a lot.
Thank you.
Council members, any other questions? All right, thank you, Nikki.
Thank
Good to see you.
Thanks.
All right, we're moving on to, I'm so glad to have the U.S. EPA here, Environmental Protection Agency. Harry Allen, I don't have your title, but if you can come up and give us your title, that would be great.
Good evening, everybody, council members and members of the public. Thanks a lot. I'm Harry Allen from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. I'm an on-scene coordinator. I'm in our emergency response unit and based here in Los Angeles, actually. We respond to chemical spills, oil spills, fires such as the Port of Long Beach fire that happened recently on the container ship. And we collect environmental data in support of the county and state agencies. When a natural disaster happens, FEMA taps us, and actually representatives here tonight who I've known since Hurricane Katrina. I've got about 25 years doing this kind of work. And interestingly, a year ago, I was one of the first people on the ground doing what we call phase 1 assessments, working with LA County Fire, CAL FIRE, CHP, walking the streets of Altadena as early as I think it was January 16th of last year. I happen to live really close by in South Pasadena, and many family members and friends here in Altadena. I work with a lot of folks on their own personal issues and just trying to be an advocate for environmental health. So as you know, EPA, we did the phase 1 work last year. So FEMA tasked us, it's not our typical mission, but when the fire's large enough, FEMA asks us to come in and go and remove household hazardous waste from properties that have burned. So we did that at all the properties in Altadena and all the properties in Pacific Palisades. We were asked in the middle of that mission to get done faster. So they gave us a deadline of 30 days. We had to move really quickly. To do that, we pulled off basically the biggest staffing we've ever had on a disaster going back to Katrina. We had 1,300 people on the ground, about half here and half over in Palisades. Doing that work, if you recall, we suited up in suits, respirators, gloves, boots, all that, walked through the ash footprint and removed those hazardous items. So on a typical disaster, that is the end of our mission. So we've done a lot of disasters like this, hurricanes, fires, floods, and that's the end of our mission. In this case, after phase 2 was completed, there was some concern about what's been left in those excavation footprints, that you guys are all aware of that concern. And so that actually went back to Washington, D.C., and they discussed some of the findings of the LA County Department of Public Health study that was done here. And they said, you know what, the communities in the Eaton fire footprint deserve a little more assurance that the cleanup was done completely. So I know there's concerns of contamination all over the place in residential soil and homes. I've been following all the work done by LA County Health and all the partner agencies and entities like USC, UCLA, the Clean Project, Eaton Fire Residents United. I've been to several of their meetings, really following all this for my own, my own sake, and because I have this responsibility to my community, to my profession. So I'm aware of all those things. But in this case, we've been tasked with just checking those excavation footprints. So we're only going to be sampling what was called the ash footprint, if you remember that term from this long year. So those were excavated, and now we're going to be going and testing. So we've got about, as you know, about 5,500 or so in the footprint. We had to come up with a way that was representative of, we can't test them all, but let's figure out how to test a representative, an unbiased group. So it's like taking a survey. You're going to get a different answer every time you take a sample. Were you very satisfied or dissatisfied? In this case, is the level high or low? We're not going to know, but we've got to remove those biases from our scientific thinking and our professional opinion. So what we did, we have an expert here in this. We were able to take all of the phase 2 properties and select 200 of those that we could do, and we made sure that they covered the entire footprint. They represented the whole area. Of those 200, we're going to take samples from 100 of the properties. So these samples are very unique. They're not your normal throw some soil into a jar. Maybe you did it with the Clean Project. I have done that. But in this case, we're going to be doing something that's pretty unique. We want to make sure if we go to a yard that we didn't miss any ash in that excavation. Again, we're just looking at the excavations. So what we're doing is we're taking 30 smaller samples and combining those for each property. And we're going to do that at the surface and another 30 at depth. So the way we do this is we take a metal straw that's got a window in the side and we bang it into the ground. We pull it out and it gives you a little apple core of soil. And we take the bottom, which is the 6 to 7 profile, which is, we presume is where the excavator stopped digging. And then we'll take the top just to get a surface condition. We're going to do that, like I say, 30 locations at each property. So we'll have a number for each property from the surface and from the bottom where that ash was meant to be removed from. So it's kind of confusing. It's a little wild, but we'll have our friends here. We've got, there's 6 of us here tonight. Most of us are from the Los Angeles area. We're going to have people at the collaboratory. Noemi and Chip will be there on Tuesdays and Thursdays this week and next to answer any questions people may have. Please direct them over there. Then I myself will be, in the field. I have another 2 or 3 colleagues will be with me in the field. And with this team doing this work, we're happy to take questions and talk to people. So we'll do that and get these results. So the results, we're going to compare lead only, and we're going to compare that to our EPA residential lead number, which we consider safe for especially young children. We have a toxicological model that predicts the safe level for lead in soil for children. That's our number. We're going to compare the properties to that. But whatever the result is, we're going to provide that result back to that resident. And then also, in sum, we're going to provide the results to the county and to all of you. So that'll take us a little while to do. We'll probably have it early spring by the time we get that all together, that final report, and those letters out to the residents. A little bit complicated, but when you're there day to day, it's simple. We're putting dirt in the bags, we're mixing it, and we're sending that off to the laboratory. Yeah, I could talk about the statistics all day. It's kind of interesting. But the idea is to get as big a survey, if you take the survey analogy, as possible. So you get the range of situations out there. And so only limited to 100 properties, we're going to be taking quite a lot of samples. It's about 6,000 little baggies of soil that are going to be combined into making those about 160 or so samples that we'll have. So that's the story. I'm happy to take any questions.
Great, thank you. And yes, it's important to note that you'll be at the collaboratory and you're looking for other opportunities to be around town, to talk to neighborhood groups, to do whatever outreach you can and answer questions. I'm glad to hear tonight of just directly what the scope of work is. We'll turn to council for some questions, but just as a reminder, we'll be able to get more answers from them in the time to come. I'll start with Councilmember Chipola and then Councilmember Carmody.
We were originally told that the soil down under where it was excavated could contain more lead from past incidents or just historic lead levels.
Yeah.
How do we know that the samples being collected at the level we're at now in the ash footprint is not historical and is related to the Eden fire?
Yeah, that's a great question. We do not know that answer. And essentially, you know, at this point, we just want to know, is it safe? Is it below the levels that we're concerned about? But yeah, we don't know the answer. Their properties have historic, the Brandon, my own home is 120 years old. So it's got debris and lead paint and other kinds of things in the soil. But we're really looking for that holistic kind of situation. Is this property, you know, have elevated lead or not? And do we know enough about properties in this area in general to know how good that cleanup was done? So this effort will support future, you know, efforts. And it also will find anything, if there's anything missing, any kind of strange circumstances that may be here in this area, maybe related to the housing stock in particular, or other activities that may have happened here, you know, other industrial activities, I mean, those things might come out and we'll be able to get the right attention to those issues, yeah.
Councilmember Carmody?
Hi, so I just want to make sure, so is there so my census tract as an example, mine and Councilmember Greene's census tract was hit pretty hard. My area particularly was hit pretty hard.
Yeah.
There are still a lot of homes standing. A lot of people haven't moved back home yet because they're concerned about whatever's in their yard or home or whatever, specifically their yard, because they're surrounded by debris or we're surrounded by debris.
Yeah.
What is the plan to help those residents who are still apprehensive because they're concerned about bringing their family back, their yard, what it's filled with, beyond just lead? There's a list of other things too that people are concerned about. So I'm just curious, what is the plan for those people to have peace of mind and take their families back home?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's completely out of the scope of this. This is to look at those excavated areas only. But if you're familiar with the LA County health initiatives and all these other initiatives that are going on, especially the research ones, which are really interesting and compelling, I think you can look there for some more information. And really working with the LA County Health Department is in particular what's important, because once FEMA's gone and the disaster's over, we still work day to day with the LA County Health Department and the neighboring counties and the whole state of California, and neighboring states actually, on issues such as this. So the answer is, unfortunately, we're not going to have any new information on this, but there are other parties working on that, and you know, we're happy to talk about that and point you to the right direction.
Thank you. Thank you. Councilmember Vega?
Did you say you were going to be at the collaboratory on Tuesdays and Thursdays, or Tuesday through Thursday?
Tuesday and Thursday.
Tuesdays and Thursdays,
Yes.
thank you.
Yes, thank you. Hours, like midday, 10 to 2.
She's creating that.
But,
as
you know,
we
if
go.
anybody
Thank
wants
you.
my information, or we
Right.
have our public affairs officer here, we'll get you their information, yeah.
I have a question from Councilmember Stewart Gordon.
And I might have missed it, thank you.
Yes.
How are the homeowners, how are they gonna opt in, how are they gonna be chosen to participate in this particular project that you're offering?
Yes, thank you for the clarification. So we picked 200 properties at random, and then we went and looked at them, make sure that they were suitable. So if somebody had a fence up and said, no trespassing, we eliminated that property, picked another one. Once we picked the properties, we sent a letter to everybody that we had selected at random. The computer selected them, so that we would avoid that bias, right? We sent a letter and gave people the opportunity to opt out. So we're awaiting, we've got a couple opt-outs so far. I think we've got 3 or 4. If anybody else wants to opt out that got the letter, they're able to do so presumably before we get there to do the sampling. So that's how that was done, randomly. Yeah.
Thank you. And it's good to know you'll still be around because we will still have questions. I do know the scope of your work, and it's very specific. It's appreciated, but I will speak for myself. I've talked to community members. It's very limited, as you probably know. So as we move forward and as you are interfacing with our community, I hope there's a way that you're using those concerns, those questions about the scope of your work to impress upon those, to increase that, and while you continue your presence in the community, that the Department of Health will continue listening to our concerns as a community. And I appreciate you being here. Any other questions, council members? Councilmember Wilkins.
A quick one. If you're just looking at lead, what sort of error bounds are you going to get with 200? I guess you're going to have 3,000 sample points?
Yeah, those 3,000 sample points are going to be distilled down to 200 results.
Okay.
Plus we have another 80 or some that are for laboratory.
So lead's about, what's 200? EPA is about 200 parts per million. What's the lead?
That's right, 200 parts per million.
And so what error bounds will you get with that sample size?
I don't have the number off my head, but we have it written down. So if you want to see, we'll have exactly
Because why can't you do twice that amount if you want to get the error bounds?
Yeah, that's right.
Is it a money thing to not get maybe 400 or, because that's like 4%, right?
Well, this is a statistically representative number of properties for what we're doing. And because we're taking so many at each property, we're really increasing our odds. So the number is 95% chance that the number is at or below the number we get. So if we get 200, it's below 200. Right, that's the idea. Now, we're likely to see a couple of hot spots. It's possible we'll see that. We're going to have to explain that. We're taking our chances, taking 6,000 samples. So hopefully we'll find what's really out there. That's the key. So we're, I don't anticipate seeing really high levels, but we're going to see elevated levels, and those are going to show up in the information, and we'll have to deal with that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to confirm one thing.
Yes.
Is it only just vacant lots, or is it homes that are occupied?
Yeah, thanks for the clarification. This is only excavated phase 2 properties, and it's only where people have said, okay, we've asked them, and they said, sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Just quick clarification on collaboratory timing. So Tuesdays, Thursdays, 10 to 2, but I thought you said at the beginning just the next 2 weeks.
That's right. We think we're going to be completed with this project by the 30th, 31st. Okay. So we won't be there after that, although there'll be opportunities for us to talk more. And yeah, we also have a community involvement person. He's got these lovely fact sheets here that we can provide. We'll have him with us in the field. The person's going to be, David will be with us in the field when we're sampling and be able to talk to people along with myself and my colleagues. Yeah.
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson.
So when the data comes back, for the people who were part of the group that are specifically sampled, the 100 houses, will only those properties be notified about the results? So if you're a neighbor, you can't extrapolate or know how it went for you?
That's a good question. Yeah, we're only going to give the result back, the single result, back to that property owner. We're not going to share all the single results, but we will share the overall.
How granular will that be?
It'll include the numbers for the whole 100 properties, but it won't show where, I don't believe, those properties. In other words, if this one was 90, on Mendocino, that's not going to show up.
Can I make a small request? Can it be by blocks or cross streets or something,
like
so that way there's
like
a
LA
broad sense of, ideally, we'd love to know exactly where it is, because if your property's right next door, then the odds are that maybe what happened to property X happened to you next door. But if, for privacy reasons or whatever, if you can get us at least somewhere closer, that would be really helpful.
I think the study objectives for this study don't really support doing that, although you've got the Clean project, and they have a data set that's much more suitable for that kind of use, to see what was nearby and that kind of thing. So, I think we could talk to them and maybe
give your data to them and let them abstract it out a little bit or whatever.
Yeah, it's going to be publicly
enhance that.
available, so at some level we can discuss that. Yeah, Chip.
Thank you. Actually, we don't take questions, but we can take them
He's
later.
my
Oh, sorry.
Clarify.
It's you. I just saw a hand.
Oh, yeah.
Please do. And I will point out, this is incredible information, and I hate to rush you along. We could do a whole night of this and some of the other guests, but I appreciate you being here. Go ahead.
No, I just want to get a little more clarification on what the report will be, not the individual results, but the report will look at the overall concentrations found within those 100 properties and create a statistical range. So if you had a property that was undergone phase 2 removal or a phase 2 excavation, we'll give you a concentration based on our statistics that you can expect that your house, even though it wasn't sampled, would fit within that range at a 95% confidence. So you may not know what your neighbor's is, but we're looking at this as a whole decision unit. So that's the reason why we're taking 100 samples, and we took 100 samples with the intention that that gives us a confidence level of what the concentrations will be throughout the whole burn area.
One last thing to follow. The reason I'm asking is that, for the people who are further west, where the town burned onto them and landed on them, I mean, it's useful to know, hey, even if you broke it down by census tract, it would be useful to know what the concentrations were within specific geographies. That would be incredibly helpful to those who, for burn properties and for standing structures. Yeah. As granular as you can get it. I understand the scope, but as granular as you can share it back out, that would be very helpful.
Yeah, and we know that the LA County study did that. They tried to do that with the grids. You're familiar with those, right? And so that was their attempt at doing that. It's not the greatest information, unfortunately, right? And likewise, this will be. I mean, the condition we're really looking for is either pre-existing lead that got buried there, or it was ash that got missed when they excavated. That's really the condition, the thing we're in frame of mind we're searching for. But we got to be unbiased and scientific about it, right? So that's why we're looking at this subset of properties, and we say 100 versus 3,000 samples. What that means is we're going to take a lot of samples and combine them. Every 30 samples gets combined into one result. That's why these numbers are getting thrown around, just to reiterate that.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
Council
Awesome.
members. We'll certainly reach out for more information, and we can see you in person as well.
That's
Thank
right.
you so much. We'll move on to special presentations. I'm bringing up for the Wildlife Update and Information, Matt Keeling from California Department of Fish and Wildlife.
Let me get settled here. Oops.
Go ahead, Matt.
Can you start that over? Okay. Let me just get settled. Yeah, okay. Thanks for the invite for the chair and vice chair. So we were invited to speak more so on the wildlife encounters in the Altadena area and giving all the media attention and just the increased reports of bear activity in Altadena. We decided to focus this talk on black bears in Altadena. So I'm the human wildlife conflict biologist for the South Coast region. I started my position with the department in September 2025, and also in attendance is Kevin Howells. He's the unit biologist for Los Angeles County and Orange County, and he may be assisting with some of the Q&A since I'm still relatively new to this position. Okay. So yeah, our goal today is to provide you with some relevant information and hopefully about bears in Altadena that will hopefully empower you and your neighbors to succeed in preventing conflicts, not just with bears, but most species. So a lot of this information just applies to many wildlife. Quick overview of the Department of Wildlife, so also known as CDFW, a department founded in 1951, formerly called the Department of Fish and Game. So we are the state regulatory conservation-based state management agency for wildlife in California. We implement the policy established by the Fish and Game Commission. The department also protects and maintains healthy wildlife populations, and we do that through overseeing recreational, commercial, scientific, and educational use as well. And we're also the agency charged with population management and conservation of large mammals, and black bears fall within that designation. So species like coyotes, skunks, and crows, those are non-game species and are not directly monitored or managed by CDFW. Okay. So because of Altadena's close proximity to the foothills of the San Gabriel Mountains and Angeles National Forest, of course some level of wildlife and bear activity is to be expected in the community. So in 2025, we received about 57 bear reports from Altadena through the Wildlife Incident Reporting System, our primary reporting system for CDFW. So this is higher than previous years, but lower than the reports in 2022. 2022 was chosen as a backstop because the Human-Wildlife Conflict Field Team was active at that time, and there was an effort to increase awareness of the WIR system. So in this map here, it's a little fuzzy, but you can kind of make out the red squares, and those are areas where we receive reports of black bear activity in 2025. Also, for 2022, much of California was in a severe drought, and some of the driest months in the last 30 years occurred in 2021 and 2022. So the vegetation that bears rely on for food resources were almost certainly limited on the landscape, causing that increase in reports in 2022. Let me find my mouse here. Can you go back? Go back to the map. Let's see. Yeah, and research has shown that human-bear wildlife conflict can increase during drought conditions and disturbances like fires. So further explaining those high numbers that we found for those years. So in 2025, we saw bear reports concentrated on the eastern area of Altadena, adjacent to Eaton Canyon. But prior to this, a lot of the reports were concentrated in the northern portions of Altadena, where many homes were lost. And as part of our statewide black bear monitoring program, the South Coast region had 8 GPS collared bears in Los Angeles County in 2025, and at least half of those were using the burn scar after the Eaton fire. And those blue and purple circles, those represent 2025 locations for 2 GPS collared bears adjacent to Altadena. Okay. So bears use their superb sense of smell to find food, and that's the goal of bears every day. Find food, protect your young, and find a safe, comfortable space to stay. And it's because of this search for food that bears sometimes wind up with trouble with humans as they move deeper into urban and suburban areas. So common attractants include fruit trees like those found on your street, bird feeders in your yards, and to the overstuffed trash cans being stored in the backyards and your streets. So managing these attractants is essential to preventing human-bear conflict in our communities. Unsecured trash bins are a major attractant of black bears in Altadena and the foothill communities in the San Gabriel Valley. So approximately 44%, nearly half of all black bear reports from Altadena in 2025 mentions bears accessing trash. So as the Department of Fish and Wildlife, we recommend storing your cans inside a garage or a fully enclosed metal structure if possible, placing cans on the streets the morning of pickup only, frequently cleaning your cans with ammonia or bleach, and One of the best things residents can do to prevent conflict with bears is to implement bear-resistant bins. There's been a lot of research that shows that widespread implementation of these bins is effective in reducing conflict with bears. So as far as I know, Altadena and Kinaloa Mesa, they're the only communities in the San Gabriel Valley that offer these bins at no additional cost to the standard bins. And that's great because the need is definitely there. And we've also heard from residents that these bins are definitely effective in preventing bears from accessing trash. In the near future, we hope to discuss with Altadena and other communities in the valley the possibility of implementing compliance goals for these bear-resistant containers. So 50% compliance, 60% compliance, things like that, in sort of a landscape scale effort to reduce bear conflict in the region. So other attractants that we want to mitigate or manage is if you have fruit or vegetables on your property, you definitely want to harvest those in a timely manner, picking up rotting fruit off the ground, securing your trees and gardens with electric fencing if necessary, regularly sanitizing your grills and barbecues, covering those pools and hot tubs when you're not using them, and try to avoid using the bird feeders. So instead, what we can do is you can plant native plants to attract the birds and pollinators. And around the home, we strongly ask that residents secure off their crawl spaces under your homes, porches, and decks. Installing motion-activated sound deterrent devices, motion-activated lights. Those can be temporarily effective in preventing bears from accessing your property. Bears are generally fearful of dogs, but still when you're out and about in the community, keep those dogs on leashes and supervise when they're in your yards. And if there's been recent bear activity within your immediate neighborhood, you can kind of carry a walking stick or a whistle or air horn, just some kind of like deterrent. And bear spray is effective as well if you have experience using that. Another thing, if there's bear activity in your property, try to remove attractants from your car. So that's like any candy, scented lip balms, Pop-Tarts, bag of chips, anything like that. That's super important. We have a lot of stories about that. Okay, so moving on, about 34% of all reports from Altadena in 2025 mentions bears getting into crawl spaces. And it's kind of been brought to my attention that a lot of residents don't know if they have a crawl space. So step one is to determine if you have a crawl space. And then step two, take the actions to properly secure your crawl space. So if your crawl space kind of looks like this, it has that cover that's not very attached to much, has that mesh on there, has some gaps in there, kind of unsturdy materials, that's not going to be effective at preventing bears from getting into your crawl spaces. On the other hand, kind of designs like these are definitely examples that will be effective for securing your crawl spaces. So these are made with sturdy materials. It's not that mesh design that you can kind of just punch through, and it's flush with the existing structure. So the South Coast region, we do not have the staff to respond to every report of bears that are in crawl spaces, and residents are capable of handling most of these events on your own. But so during the fall and winter, bears are treating these as temporary or permanent dens and attempting to stay for a long period of time. But what we're seeing in the spring and summer, a bear will typically hang around for about a day or two, just kind of to escape the heat and then move on. But if you do have a bear in your crawl space, the first thing, report it to CDFW through the WIR, our Wildlife Incident Reporting System. So this information, it's super important for research and monitoring related to bear management in the region. Next, you're going to want to decide how you would like to secure that crawl space, given the criteria that I discussed before. So you can acquire these materials on your own, or you can employ someone that can help you. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to confirm that the bear is still in your crawl space. So when bears are in crawl spaces, they're typically not aggressive, and you can shine a bright light in there to confirm that they're still in your crawl space. You can feel comfortable doing that. And then you can place a camera facing the entrance so you can monitor when the bear is leaving in and out. So when bears first enter crawl spaces, they're going to most likely continue to move in and out of there, giving you opportunities to seal that crawl space. But this could be a brief window at any time of the day. So it could be 12:30, the bear left for 15 minutes and came back. It could be 2:30 in the morning. So it's highly variable, and that is definitely a challenge. But if you are dealing with a stubborn bear, we can conduct a site visit at your property. We'd be more than happy to do that and implement some strategies to help remove that bear from under your property. So if you do see a bear on your property, we encourage residents to implement deterrence and safely haze bears. So for those unfamiliar, hazing is a technique where deterrents or scary noises or movements are used to modify or stop undesirable behavior from wildlife species. But you want to make sure there's enough space between you and the bear, and there's a safe exit for you and the bear. And hazing teaches wildlife that what it's doing will not be tolerated around humans, and the goal is to discourage that behavior from the bear or whatever species. So some common deterrence and hazing methods in this slide here. We can see bear spray in that first picture, that huge large cloud. We typically recommend that if you have some experience using that. You can end up in some unfortunate situations if used improperly. We have ammonia there on the bottom left corner, so you can use ammonia-soaked rags within your trash bins to temporarily deter bear from accessing your trash bins while you try to secure those bear-resistant trash bins, right? Then we have some sound deterrents like whistle, air horn, motion-activated sound deterrents. Yelling, very effective. Then we see in that picture there's hot wire around the aviary, so beehives. If you have beehives, that's really effective at preventing bears from accessing those. Electrified mat, and also just shaking a big, giant plastic bag is really effective at scaring a lot of wildlife. You'd be surprised. Okay. And so if you do see a bear in the wild, on the trails or anything like that, we get a lot of questions about that. So what you want to do, stop, don't run, keep your dogs on a leash and keep them close by. Try not to corner the bear, give them a lot of room to escape. Back away slowly, face the animal, maintain eye contact. And if the animal approaches you, stand your ground, make yourself look large, yell, clap. You can throw some small objects as well. That's also very effective. And when it comes to sows with cubs, in general, bears tend to be less cub defensive, and they will try to leave instead of engaging with a person. But in most cases, giving bears space and respecting their presence is going to prevent most incidents consistently. So to kind of wrap up, 75% of all reports received mentioning bears from Altadena included bears accessing trash and crawl space invasions. So we think addressing these issues will definitely go a long way with preventing conflict with bears in the community. We want to give them respect. They're intelligent and super adaptable species, and they're going to continue to share the landscape for a long time. We all need to take action and make changes to protect people, property, and wildlife. And to stay safe, awareness is the best prevention for human-wildlife conflict. So we as a department, we can't be everywhere at the same time trying to prevent and responding to wildlife conflict, and that's why we really truly rely on collaboration with community members and local government to maintain the safety of people and wildlife. And the reality is there's very few of us and way more of you. So working together and recognizing the steps need to be taken to prevent conflicts is key. And while we can provide the support and information to get you there, ultimately it comes down to everyone doing their part. So collaboration with communities, local government, and CDFW is essential to preventing conflict with black bears. And to wrap up, thanks again for the opportunity to share this information. So here we have our Human-Wildlife Conflict Toolkit page. So that includes all the information I discussed, plus a lot more related to bears and other species as well. And then our wildlife incident reporting system, pretty simple. We have our wildlife.ca.gov/WIR, and that's where you can make reports on general sightings, bears entering your crawl spaces, bears trying to get into your yard, and anything you can think of from there. So we'd be happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Council members, any questions?
And we can revisit that map if necessary as well.
It was very thorough and appreciated. We have learned the lesson of having very compelling guests all in one night. Might not be, but we appreciate you being here so much. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right. Next up, thank you for your patience, everybody. We've got an incredible update. We're so glad to have you here. We're honored to have Norma Garcia-Gonzalez and Chester Cano from the County of LA Department of Parks and Recreation.
Hello, and thank you so much for having us here. We're really excited to share an update in regards to your beautiful park system. Before we start the presentation, I'm going to introduce Mika Yamamoto. As a matter of fact, right before the Eaton fire, she had been promoted to actually manage the North Agency. And we're so lucky she actually took this position and did not retire, but it was basically her experience and her knowledge that has really helped to help shepherd and steward and support and guide our park system during this recovery. I'd like to introduce her and have her introduce her staff.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. It's so nice to see all of you. Happy New Year. Before I introduce my colleagues, I just would really briefly want to talk about the North Agency. I'm sure you're thinking, what is that? But North Agency, we do the operations, we do recreation, grounds maintenance, and daily repairs. Our area of responsibility is the Antelope Valley and the Santa Clarita Valley, the unincorporated area, and of course, the foothill area, right? So the Altadena parks. And right now we have Loma open, and we're looking forward, of course, to the real building of the other parks. And so I'd like to introduce Trevor Zemp. Please stand. He is our regional operations manager. And Jeff Dorse, if you could stand, Jeff, he is our new regional recreation director. And just briefly, you might be thinking, well, what happened to Sam? So for those of you who know Sam, it's very bittersweet news, but he took a role in our Recreation Corps office. I'm sorry, the East Agency, East Agency, and he's the Regional Recreation Director for the East Agency. It's bittersweet for us because, you know, Sam was with the North for many, many years and did a wonderful job, but fortunately with this move, he's also closer to home. So it's a benefit for all of us, and so we're very fortunate to have Jeff. So thank you so much, Norma.
Mika, I just want to also mention, Mika has been extraordinary in leading a grant program that we received in partnership with LA 84. And Mika is leading a specific team only in Altadena. We have our own Park on the Move, which is a van. And I think what's really important for residents is as families come and visit their vacant lots or their construction, we want them to set up playtime for their children. So think of this Park on the Move as these pop-up parks that can go to your businesses, to your place of worship, to your home. It could be 5 children, it could be 2 children. But the idea is to create play throughout the communities of Altadena. And we really want to stress this is so important because what we know is that the beauty of community, socialization, and of play is something that is so special for many children and families. So Mika will be here, Trevor and Jeff, to talk more about that program. It's a grant for a whole year. We want to do as many play dates in Altadena, streets, parking lots, sidewalks. We will do it all for the children and the community and families of Altadena. And now we'd like to start our presentation. One is I want to share that we have been working diligently to restore our parks, your parks. And why? One is many of our park staff are from Altadena, grew up in Altadena, so it's personal. But two, we heard from so many families how we want to come back to a sense of Altadena, the outdoors, parks. There's so many stories about people walking, getting, engaged, having picnics, and we want to be part of Altadena's future. And so our staff took that baton. I just want to say it was, your chairs and your co-chair, Victoria Knapp at the time, and now, and assistant, and at that point, co-chair, now chair, Nic Arnzen, who said, it's time for us to work on our parks. And I just want to thank you, because it was you all that really were our biggest cheerleaders to actually move forward. I also want to say something that, we specifically targeted funding that would not be in conflict with funding that would help support the rebuilding of Altadena homes and commercial places. Unfortunately, I read all the blogs, and some of them were not so nice. So I really wanted to clarify that our purpose, we wanted to make sure that most of the funding went to rebuilding people's lives and homes. And we specifically targeted pots of money and agencies that actually help to rebuild parks. And many of the private solicitations were really people that cared about you and this community, or who had a core connection to a park and said, I want to help to rebuild that park because there was a personal connection to them. And so you have also been very instrumental in helping to guide many of the donors to the LA County Parks Foundation, who's been a partner in this recovery. To date, we have secured over $60 million for the recovery of Altadena parks. Unprecedented, unheard of, but we want to show you now where all the money, who are the donors, and where all the money's going to. Next slide. So we're going to go fast. Yes, over $60 million. Chester, take it away.
Whoa. All right, we'll start west to east. Loma Alta Park, $3.4 million, supported by Fire Aid and our partners at the LA Clippers and the Los Angeles Dodgers Foundation. These are partnerships we've held in high regard for many years. We're so grateful to them. And that was completed in May, an intense 2 months, spearheaded by our director, who picked a date in May and then told the rest of us. And so we worked very hard weekends while it was raining, and we're so proud of creating what is our best playground in our entire park system at Loma Alta Park, and our Alta Chats, something we've gotten a lot of compliments, are a place to meet your neighbors. Slide, please. As I mentioned, the beautiful Dodgers Dream Fields, Clippers Court, and we cleaned and refurbished the pool for opening that summer, last summer. Slide. Triangle Park, right across the street here, also completed soon after Loma Alta, supported by the LA County Parks Foundation, our partner, and indispensable for us and the LA Conservation Corps. Slide please, we based the plant palette on the original plant palette from years ago. We updated it, and our design team helped specify these native and drought-tolerant plants that you see here. It's thriving, it looks beautiful. I was there last week, and it's just wonderful. It loves the rain. So next slide. Charles White Park. Yeah. This is a park that, with the supervisor's office's support, we identified a few years ago as a target park for renewal, and now it is gone up to the next level. We secured $10.5 million from California State Parks and the Walt Disney Company. And you can see we are glad to announce that we will finally have a legitimate community building there, something that's been necessary for many years. And we are partnering with a prefab company and our internal design team to produce something similar to what you see there in a speedy fashion. Slide, please. Yes, and we're working with Ian White. Next slide, please. And this is the vision from the Walt Disney Company. We got some immediate comments on, why does it look like that? This is a vision document. They produced this in a matter of a few weeks in that inimitable Disney style. This is not exactly what it will look like. This is a concept that was from a few months ago. And you can see the footprint of the park, the new building on the lower right, new pickleball on the upper right, and the new playgrounds. And we're hoping for a wet play area near the building, walking loop, fitness zones, native landscaping, and a collaboration with our civic art division of Department of Arts and Culture, and Ian White, the artist's son, and his group are working with us to produce art in that park, and we're hoping in that building some storytelling about the artist Charles White, the namesake artist Charles White. Slide. Farnsworth Park, again, moving west to east, moving over to Farnsworth. We have $5 million granted by the state of California for the Reflection Garden, actual name to be determined, at Charles Farnsworth Park on the west side of the park. Slide, please. You'll see in the shaded area in the orange, and it'll actually probably leak over toward the ball field that you see there. And we're working with the community. We are in the final stages of the concept design after a few months with community engagement and working with the CCARS group, which Nic and Victoria were part of.
I just would like to say, I've been with the department for over 24 years, and we've gone at least through 2 or 3 planning processes and never came to fruition. I really believe now that this parcel was meant for something greater, something more meaningful and with purpose. And I'm so grateful for the opportunity to work with the Altadena community, because it's given this parcel of land who stood vacant for decades a really purpose that will fill people's hearts, minds, and remind us of a good time, a very tragic time, but also some healing. So just wanted to share that.
And we will be back with our design team to talk about the actual design for that portion of Farnsworth Park. We also have other enhancements at Charles Farnsworth Park, a total of $4.1 million, and we are still actively fundraising for this park. Yes. From Santa Monica Mountains Conservancy, RMC, Pasadena Rotary Club, LA Phil, and the Clippers. The Clippers court is already done, and we're talking to the Dodgers Foundation right now. So you'll see some of the work that's already done. The Clippers court was recently refinished. Some drainage work that was long needed. Slide, please. And then you can see the 2 Dodgers dream fields that are in planning currently. And we are working with a historic preservation architect on the restoration of the amphitheater seating that was burned. Slide. Moving on to Eaton Canyon, one of our largest grants, 19 million secured through 16.2 from the state. We also have Regional Park and Open Space District and Rivers and Mountains Conservancy.
This is glorious.
So these are early site analysis and concept studies for the Eaton Canyon Plateau area. Can't share too much. We've done quite a bit of work already, but it's still early days, and you can see the beginnings of site placement there. And I'm not sure if we have the Landscape Recovery Center in this deck.
I will just share that our consultants have done wind modeling, have done 100-year modeling of wind, 100-year modeling of fire, 100-year modeling of flood, to really actually place the new location for the Nature Center. There's no other facility that actually has done where we've done so much modeling to learn about its history, to really help us, really the placement for its future, because we want to make sure that it's as nature-proof as much as possible.
Yes, slide. That's it. Landscape Recovery Center on the south portion of the site in the former equestrian area. You can see the concept for Landscape Recovery Center. That is under construction right now with our initial RPOSD Restore grant. And this is going to be a growing and tree farm that is something entirely new for us. It is the product of some foresight, our partnership with the Theodore Payne Foundation, and collected seeds from this area. Unprecedented for us that these seeds are available for us to grow. And we are building the infrastructure to enable that to happen, and these seedlings will grow into trees, and those trees will find their way to our parks, and hopefully, if our success continues, they'll find their way into other parts of Altadena and Pasadena, hopefully as street trees and in other landscape areas throughout the region. Moving further west, east, Altadena Golf Course. We just completed the handoff between the Army Corps of Engineers and our department right at the end of the year. That was their deadline, and they worked up until the very last day, and or the day before the last day. And I'm happy to announce that it looks great. If you scroll, you'll see what it looks like on the right side versus what it looked like on the left side when the Army Corps had started to vacate. That's a lot of new sod that you see there that is still growing in, but with all the rain and the sunshine, it is very, very verdant green. They also rebuilt the driving range for us, so the netting and the poles are back up. And of course, no buildings yet, but we have a company on contract who are maintaining the grow-in for this golf course, and will tend to the greens and the fairways to make sure it all comes in correctly.
So I don't want to go into, there's a lot more slides in regards to what still needs to be happened. I think I want to pause and really celebrate that your parks are underway. And I think that is a strong message to share with the families who are rebuilding in Altadena, that their beloved parks in 2 years, you'll see Charles White, you'll see the golf course hopefully open, you'll see Farnsworth, and you'll see recovery in the beautiful spaces that hold so many memories for this community. We still have quite a bit to go, and so we want to continue partnering. We're just as energetic as when we first started, and we look forward to continuing to partner. I want to state we haven't received $1 of FEMA reimbursement dollars. This has been through the generosity of people who care about funders. And so I really appreciate that philanthropy has stepped up for this community. And we hope, we still have a couple of more hurdles to go. The Davies Building, the Eaton Canyon Nature Center. These are going to be significant construction endeavors. And so we look forward to working with you and realizing that vision and really creating the beautiful spaces that bring so much joy to this community. And I just want to also just thank also, I wanted to present this to Victoria Knapp, but also to Nic, and just say thank you for your partnership as well. That's it, we won't go through the sites.
Okay. So I want to mention that all these slides that you saw are mounted on boards in your lobby. They're still there. We'll leave them up a little bit after the meeting if you want to take a closer look. I have two staff here over there, Marcy and Evelina, who have been part of all of these projects. Under Norma's fearless leadership, we've been doing things that we've actually never done before, and we've proven ourselves pretty proficient as new fundraisers and delivering projects in a multitude of ways through our foundation, through the Conservation Corps, through our other partners. It may seem like we've done this before, but we really haven't. This past year has been a learning experience for all of us, and it's gratifying to see results, to see Loma Alta so popular and actively used. It's gratifying to go there and see people sitting in the Alta chat areas and using it as it was envisioned. And we're grateful for all the support from the Altadena community, because without that, I think it would have been that much more difficult, not just for us, but for our funders.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you. We'll certainly take some questions. Norma, I remember sitting last February and talking in meetings and saying, we're going to make this happen, we're going to find the funding. And I want to turn to the community and the stories that were told in the media and people at this table and consistently putting Altadena in the forefront. I think that is paying off. The more you did that and the more these stories were told, we've gotten them coming back to us. So I really appreciate you, but mostly I love our community. Any questions? John, and then we'll go to Anton.
Just a statement. My 2-year-old boy loves Loma Alta Park. He can say park, park, and he gets very excited. So you have a fan. He loves it. He's giving you his blessing. So just wanted you to know. It's one wonderful park. Thank you.
I want to just say that a couple weeks ago, I actually stalked a father and his 2 daughters, and I was stalking them, but they had lost their home, and their children love playing at Loma Alta. And they actually are renting a home near Loma Alta because they've come back to rent, and they just love their parks. And so for me, that was just, I sat there and just was very emotional about sometimes what little, how meaningful it is for a community.
Yeah, thank you. It gives us a place to go and be amongst our neighborhoods. So very much appreciative. Thank you.
So glad.
Councilmember Anderson.
I mean, obviously, echoing everything that's been said, has been really fabulous, and I can't go on. But can you elaborate a little bit? I know that it's still underway. What's going on with the Davies building? Just a little bit.
So I will say, we heeded the call from the community members that are around Farnsworth, and our approach has been, we tackle one project at a time and we put it out to the universe. And the universe is responding. We knew that we wanted to open up the park first and fundraise for the park because many of the community members have started to move back, they're rebuilding, and we've been told we want that park back. So what we've done is we've done it in phases. So I will tell you, there are lots of conversation about larger funders that want to contribute to the Davies building. And I'll just let Chester, we are working with a couple of I will just say possible funders to visualize what that building would look like. But we have done an assessment of how much it would cost, and it's probably the jewel of our park system in regards to the expense.
Yes, it is the biggest lift for us. And as Norma said, we're still trying to bring the infrastructure back to Farnsworth. We don't have any power. And so that's definitely first. And then we're going to work our way to the structures that we lost.
and I'm new, so give me a ballpark in what you think for the Davies building, just.
Well, I can
Probably.
tell you what the value at which it was. So even though we haven't received any FEMA money, I can tell you my staff has spent a lot of time in the FEMA process, a lot of paper, a lot of calculations, a lot of spreadsheets. That is our largest line item. I think that's at 43 million.
Councilmember Worley?
So we gotta pass that can around again.
Yeah, pass the can one more time.
I will also say, this is going to be one of our most complex projects. It was a historical place on the National Historic Registry. It's 3 tiers, 3 levels, without an elevator, not ADA compliant. So we are having a lot of conversations about its historical nature, but also making sure that it really is compliant, because we have to make and build to current standards.
Exactly.
Councilmember Worley.
I have 2 questions, but one is like extremely basic, and forgive me if this is just, so in regards to the Davies building, does the county have insurance for buildings like that?
No, we do not. The county is mostly self-insured.
Okay. That's my first question. I'm just out of curiosity if there's any sort of backstop for that. And then secondly, I want to second the comments about Loma Alta, although I have a bone to pick because my son forced me to go to the top of that slide, and it was terrifying, and I thought I was going to get stuck going down that. I bet everyone could hear my screams. But I do love that park. My question was, are you guys working in tandem with other agencies to identify areas of where there could be a nexus of infrastructure and parkland uses? Meaning, for example, working with watershed management in order to identify how you can capture and store water in parks and utilize them that way.
Well, Charles White in particular, we know is I think my staff has come to this meeting with Public Works once to talk about Charles White's potential as a stormwater capture site. So we are still speaking with Public Works about that opportunity, but a lot of their Public Works priorities have changed in the past year as well, and so that becomes just an ongoing conversation. There is some funding there, but it is work that is very, very disruptive, and so we're also sensitive to that. These parks are not as large as some of the other parks that we have stormwater capture facilities.
But for example, we are working with the architects at Eaton Canyon to look at at Eaton Canyon Nature Center natural area for the parking lots to be actually capture water, treat the water before it goes into our water system. So I think when it's actually a brand new construction that way, we can actually include those water elements. If we include them, we already have significant deficits to fundraise for in regards to our infrastructure. We don't want to make that number a lot higher, but in Eaton Canyon, it's already in the planning and the DNA of that project.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I ask because I think it's important as a community that just went through this devastating fire, if there's opportunity to use water capture in a way where we can have some gray water systems that could be used potentially for firefighting in the future, and as well as irrigation and, those types of things. I want to ensure that while I'm so supportive of these parks, being back, I don't want to move so fast that we ignore possible uses. And I've also heard that some of those uses can provide a source of funding, so that if you can fund what's below the park, sometimes you can fund what's above the park. So I just encourage maybe to look into that, or
We work hand in hand with the Watershed Division. At many of our parks actually are serving as retention basins, water capture, stormwater capture. So that is one of our biggest priorities. And
Yeah.
but we don't want to wait if they're without, these funding projects take about 5 years from actually the development of concept to the actual fruition and implementation, even in just a regular, normal process. And so that is a long time to wait for these projects to, for these parks to develop. So just wanted to share that.
Thank you. Any other questions, council members? Yes, Councilmember Molden.
Will there be an opportunity for Charles White Park to have another community feedback session so that we can get clarity on what stays, what goes, and what was originally discussed, what's going to come back?
Yes, we plan to come back to this place and present the latest design.
But I will share that I think from the community input process that you all went through, we could only fund this much. And so what we did to actually is we said, these are the priorities of the community. The community wanted a splash pad. We were able to put that on there. The playground that was a priority burnt down, and so we wanted to have another, the building was actually a dream of the community for decades. And so I just wanted to share with you, we're gonna come back, but what we did is to make sure with our funders that they knew that this had to be a community-centered process. And so the items that we were able to fund really came out from the community wish list.
I'll also add that we didn't mention it, but by having that building on site, it provides an opportunity for staff to be on site. And that's a big difference in Charles White in its current form.
That's right.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
From my understanding, some of the normal roadblocks that would occur with building is not going to occur with Altadena. That was my understanding with us. So I'm hoping that will be in consideration with some of the things that we're talking about with the water storage, that we will not incur some of the roadblocks that has occurred in the past with building back. That would take 5 years, that wouldn't occur with Altadena.
And I think they were speaking directly to the water projects. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Thank you so much. There was, Dot, go ahead, sorry.
No, this is very inspiring, so thank you so much for that information. I just, one of the last slides that came up was the $8 million need for the Altadena Crest Trail. So can you just give us a quick little update on that?
Yes, as you know, we've closed some of our trails, and there's actual pictures. Some of our trails actually were completely washed out. It was not just the fire, but it's a subsequent flooding that devastated the trails beyond repair by a crew or by volunteers. These portions of the trails will need to be re-engineered for safety and security. So I just want to say that's why they were closed. We actually have done an evaluation of the entire trail system, and it will take about $8 million to restore. Now, you should know that we've got a strategy, and there is Proposition 4 was passed by state voters in 2024. There is a $100 million allocation for trails. So one of the things that we could do collectively is actually advocate for those dollars, a portion of those dollars to help us restore. So we are already working we have meetings with the senator, with the assembly members. We're getting ready for our grant applications so that we're working with the community groups here so that we can go after those public dollars to restore our trail system.
If you would need a letter of support, please contact us and we would be happy to do so.
Great.
Should the community want it.
Great. Thank you so much, and to your whole team for being here. Thank you very much. All right. Council, we will move right on to community reports. As we step into a new year, I'd like to confirm committee chairs continuing work or reassign the chair as needed. I'll be touching on land use in a moment. For Renters Protection and Recovery Committee, Chair Greene will remain. Thank you, Chair Greene. For Traffic Safety and Mobility, Chair Wong remains. Thank you, Chair Wong. For Education, Chair Molden. For Bylaws, Chair Chipola. For Legislation, Chair Marona will be stepping aside, and Councilmember Greene will serve as chair moving forward. The Communication and Film Committees will remain but are inactive at this time while we decide their best use moving forward. Reggie, that's probably news to you as one of the chairs, but I'm sure not shocking. I want to talk to all of these chairs and the exiting one. I want to thank all of these chairs and the exiting ones for their incredible gifts of time and dedication to our council and community. I've not forgotten Land Use Committee. Chair Marquez will be stepping aside, and Councilmember Marona will now be taking the lead for our Land Use Committee. I'd just like to say, I know it's late, but I need to say a few words about this transfer. For over 11 years, Councilmember Diane Marquez has dedicated herself to leading this pivotal committee through countless projects. She has not just kept the committee on track and the public informed on what I guess are hundreds of projects, but she has tutored, trained, and guided over decades worth of council members through the complicated, confusing, and always unique journeys of each project. This council, so many businesses, countless home and building owners, and the town in general owe her a huge debt of gratitude. It is a comfort to know that she will still be on hand to continue to guide us and lend her vast knowledge and county connections and understanding. I have said this before to you. I have great respect for you, Diane, and for your years of service to not just this committee and our council, but to this town. This is like a hidden, separate council within the council. This woman has done such incredible work. Please help me thank Diane for her incredible continued work.
I have been doing it for a long time. I don't think that even the Town Council and Land Use Committee get the credit that they really should get, and you're right. I think that we all do a lot of extra work. I'm happy to share my knowledge that I've learned from others. You know, I've been on Town Council 20 years. So, I just really want to say thank you to all of you guys, and yes, I will still be here, and Milissa has me on speed dial, and so, you know, we'll get through. And if there are any more regional planning people here, we're coming.
So I also need to mention that Daniel Harlow, a community member, has been by Diane's side for years, and that as an appointed community member, he has generously offered his time, his opinion, and his guidance to this committee. Moving forward as a means of efficiency, the full council will now be sitting on the Land Use Committee, and that may or may not be necessary, but in the time we have ahead of us, we're hoping that means, it certainly means there's no open seats for community members to sit at this time. But we are happy to have all of us on that committee to potentially match county's desire to efficiently move forward what could be a sizable amount of projects along. And we look forward to having community members return to this committee. Trust me, hopefully sooner than later. They provide valuable input at the meetings, and sitting on the committee is a valuable source. Chair Marona is welcome to provide opportunities for outside counsel, but I will leave that to you. And to Daniel, we give huge thanks. You have gone above and beyond to be sure these land use matters were treated with respect and according to rules and regulations. His incredible knowledge remains an asset to our community, and I can hope we can call upon him as needed. Thank you to Daniel Harlow. With that, in your final act, Diane, I turn it over to you for land use.
Oh, sorry, I turned that off after, okay. The Land Use Committee met 2 weeks ago, and we reviewed the library, the new library for Main Library project, and we voted to recommend that project without conditions. And so, to the town council. So, Pat, who's doing? Okay, so Nikki, she's still here. You can come up and just sort of go over the high level review of, do you have slides?
Chair Marquez, just before we begin,
Yeah.
since I'm a member of the Board of Trustees for the library, I'll be recusing myself from this matter.
Thank you.
It is noted that Council Member Maramas has recused himself due
Right,
to his
yeah.
conflict of interest.
Which he did at land uses.
All right. Okay. Good evening again, council members. Thank you to the Land Use Committee for listening to our capital project manager, Jennifer Pearson, a couple weeks ago. I was also joined by our facilities manager and someone from our architectural firm. Tonight you got just me. So hopefully I can answer any questions that may arise. I did bring the same presentation that we presented to the Land Use Committee. I'll just run through it quickly so that community members that are watching or those that weren't able to attend the land use meeting have kind of just a really general sense of the project. So for those of you that don't know, the main library was built in 1967. So when we do grand reopen it in a year and a half from now, hopefully it will be 60 years old. And a big part of the selection of our architectural firm that we chose was a firm, ABA Studios, that have done many different historical buildings, and our architect, specifically Mark Schumann, is obsessed with mid-century modern. So a huge priority of this project is maintaining the historical integrity of the library. So this very first slide, you can see this is going to be that's a rendering from the parking lot. Where we're adding about 700 square feet to the lobby, which was one of the reasons that the conditional use permit was triggered. The glass that you see is, you can't tell in this rendering, but there's going to be like etchings that mimic the little wood panels that you see on the service desks at the main library. So integrating that original design work into the glass. A fully accessible entrance into the library that you'll be able to easily spot and enter and then be able to see up into the second floor. So next slide, really quickly, the project history. Thanks to the community support, we passed Measure Z in November of 2020. About a year later, we selected our architect, ABA Studios. They were also the architect that worked on the Bob Lucas project, so you got a sneak peek of the kind of work that we are doing with them. We love the design over there. From 2021 to 25, we compiled a community focus group, which included representation of historical, heritage, town council, community members at large, and other groups from across Altadena to provide feedback to us throughout every part of the process. The reason Bob Lucas was expanded was because that was what that group told us. We want it to be bigger. So they have been absolutely part of the design process with the main library as well. We went through the permitting CUP process for Bob Lucas from 2022 to 2024, which because we expanded the library so much, that's why the conditional use permit was needed. We did the renovation between March of 24 and then grand reopened it in August of last year. We've been also working with LA County on this permitting process for the main library for about the last year and a half. It did trigger an environmental impact report, largely due to the changes to the historical nature of the building. So the report lays out why we're making the changes and why they're necessary, and our argument why that needs to be done. What's interesting about, and we've worked very closely with a historical consultant throughout the design process as well. What's interesting is, that I've learned through this, is when you make changes to a historic building, it has to be remarkably different. Like you'd think the building would, you walk in and it all looks the same. You'll see that when we put in the new entrance, it will be the same feel, but you'll be able to tell that it was renovated. And that's the way the historical code works. I wish my architect was here to explain that more, but again, that's through the report process. As you are aware, I think I made council know that we opened up the environmental impact report back in September, and people had until the middle of November to comment on the EIR. We all received nothing but positive comments, so we feel really good about that process as well and sharing that with the public. So really quickly, here's a site plan. A couple things I wanted to point out is on the very top in that like sort of orange color, we're gonna now have an outdoor reading court with stepped seating. So that's Mariposa. And what's interesting, and I'll show you the elevation, is you won't be able to see it because of the way that the ground slopes. So the elevation of the building will look almost identical to how it does now. But we're now gonna have sliding doors that open on the north side of the building where we're relocating the children's department to be able to do outdoor programming as well as like have a reading space for people. We're also going to be relocating our staff upstairs on the left, where currently all of the adult stacks or the books are, and consolidate us all into one space, which is going to create an opportunity to put a driveway up to Mariposa so we can receive deliveries and, you know, get books out on the floor. We're also going to have a lobby extension with stairs and a relocation of the elevator that stops on all 3 floors. Exciting. As well as our refurbished pedestrian bridges and infrastructure for EV chargers in the parking lot. So real quickly, this is the lower level floor plan. You can't hardly see it, but what I want to emphasize and what a big part of my priority of the project was this floor is completely not open to the public currently. When we reopen the library, it will be completely public facing space. We're going to have our passport services office, the Friends bookstore relocated down there, co-working space, which will include a conference room, smaller meeting rooms, as well as one bigger meeting room, all of those reservable by the public, fully accessible restrooms, and a new makerspace fab lab, good size space downstairs. So all of that will be open to the public. Upstairs on the upper level, let's see. We're reconfiguring the upstairs level to lay things out a little differently. As I mentioned, the children's department is currently on the south side of the building. That's going to move to the north, so then it can be that indoor-outdoor use. The adult side will be where children's currently is located. And all the way on the right, currently where the administrative offices and our staff offices is now going to be a designated teen space that has walls and an area where the teens can come in and actually use the library as teens, including a gaming room. That floor is also going to have 2 more meeting rooms. That's the thing that we probably get asked for the most, is meeting space for the public. And then in addition to that, in the bottom right-hand corner is the current community room. We're going to be completely renovating that space as well, removing the stage, and with the loss of one of the staircases in the current elevator, being able to grow the room to have a commercial kitchen space so that people that utilize the community room will be able to use that. And where the current staircase is to come into the library, we're going to have an outdoor patio off of the community room as well as windows. Isn't that exciting? It's such a dark room. So really excited about that. So as I mentioned with the elevations, the top is the view from Mariposa. As you can see, like the building's gonna look almost identical. So you drive by, you're not even gonna hardly be able to tell that the building was renovated. Again, because of the way that the ground slopes, that's where the outdoor programming space is. It won't impact the elevation on that side. On the bottom, that's the view from Santa Rosa. Again, not much different. You can see that the bridge is gonna look very similar to how it does now, but you can actually walk on it in heels, which I currently can't. The community room, as you can see, will have a couple windows, and then off to the left is where that outdoor patio space will be. So like programs can grow out of the room as well. The top elevation here is the view from the parking lot. So it will look a little different with the addition of the lobby and then being able to see upstairs into that second floor of the library. And then the west elevation basically looks the same as it currently does. So anticipated project schedule right now, we're in pre-construction activities. As I mentioned, we selected a construction firm. February 1st, the library will officially be closed. We're gonna spend the month of February getting everything ready to move out, and then construction will start hopefully in March. This is very optimistic to me. This is my capital project manager that will open in May of 27, I think more like late summer, fall, which is right around our 60th anniversary of the building. So that's just a little overview. Happy to answer any questions you might have, or however this process works.
Okay, so I don't, Vi or Pat, you were going to do a report on what you did for doing due diligence.
Yes, and thank you very much, Nikki, for what you've done. This was way easier to understand than when we had our Zoom meeting.
Oh, good.
It's easier to see, and I think it's going to be wonderful. What I'll do, Diane, is just give a brief information of what we've done, communication-wise, and then make my and yeah, that, and then make my motion. Thank you. And then if there's questions, then after I make the motion, then we'll do the questions.
Yeah,
Okay?
and we'll take public comment before we
Right.
vote.
Yes, of course. In canvassing the neighborhood, we did the best we could as far as canvassing is concerned, because there were a lot of empty spaces around the library, especially north and especially west. But for the rest of it, we canvassed it, or we did canvass. We spoke with 38 people, and we left flyers, 102 flyers. The answers we got back from the people that we talked to were the same thing that you had already seen, and a couple of the most that I just thought were the best ones is the library is the best thing left after the fire. I thought that was very good, and especially how happy they are that they're going to keep the mid-century modern look. So we're fine there. And the public comment that we got at the Zoom meeting, same exact thing. Everybody wants and loves the library, as it's going to be looking. So my motion is, in the matter of RPPL 2023-000666, for the conditional use permit for the expansion of an existing library building, footprint by approximately 700 square feet, access improvements, seismic retrofit, and replacement of the aged building infrastructure to address the mechanical, plumbing, electrical, and structural elements of the facility. Yeah, that's the statement. And so are there any questions? Most of the people sitting around this table were here at the Zoom meetings, but not all. So we want to make sure that if there are additional questions that might have come up in the meantime.
I second.
Anyone? Okay.
So do we have any public comment for the library tonight? None? Okay. And I did want to just mention that when we get a CUP, the scope of this particular CUP is because they were expanding their footprint a little bit. And so that's what we reviewed, what the building from the outside was going to look like. Don't come to us about the interior. Anyway, that's what triggered the CUP, and so that's what we reviewed. Okay, so now we've had a motion and a second, and was there any discussion from the town council? Any questions? I know we've talked about this a bunch of times. Okay, so Nick, you can take a vote.
We'll move it to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? One recusal, and the ayes have it. Thank you, Nikki. Moving on to Renters Protection and Recovery, Chair Darlene Greene.
Good evening, everybody. In the month of December, we were so blessed and grateful, actually, to the library. Loma Alta, woohoo, coming up again, helped us to do an incredible community outreach where we were able to serve about 350 households. I want to thank community partners, John Carmody for donating, Milissa, you, and I said, did I say Melissa, you? Did I give you a new name? Milissa, Marona, and Kim, and then all the other council members are also represented at these giveaways. So we're just so grateful for that. The most important thing I really wanted to talk about right quick was we have a high volume of Eden Canyon survivors that are facing lease terminations. This was brought to the forefront by our chair, and we have been so successful in giving them some resources to Los Angeles County. Specifically, there's one that's expiring on the 23rd. That's 2 days from now. We walked around and passed out newsletters to tell them about this landlord incentive that is also going to help the tenants. So we're hoping that people will go to DCBA LA County to get this particular package. We were able to talk to some landlords who are going to let their tenants stay because they're going to apply. If they get it, they're going to apply for this. So I think this is an incredible resource. The committee has, and we're also continuing to refer people to the Altadena Tenants Union when they go past the point of no return in some ways. And so we're so grateful for these resources by LA County, and the committee has a lot of things planned for this year to continue to help with resources. So if you're listening, please go to our website and stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Moving on to education, Chair Molden.
So I have a couple of announcements. The first being that the first lottery for the PUSC open enrollment ends January 28th at 4 p.m. The results will be released February 11th, and you'll have until February 25th to accept your offers. Visit pusd.schoolment.com for more details of who's eligible for the first round of lotteries. Also, the Superintendent's Facilities Advisory Committee has met, and they are discussing the future of Elliott Middle School in that committee. So I recommend any community members that are interested in the future of that school site to attend the meetings. They're currently meeting twice a month to catch up, and then they're going to transition to once a month. And it's my understanding with the status of that building is that they have sent their, to go back, the way that the building was constructed was that the footers and the walls are all connected, and they did research with engineers, and they aren't able to salvage the A building. And so they are submitting the demolition to the division state architect, the DSA, this month. And I'm encouraging community members to reach out to the director, Mr. Dunning of PUSD, if you'd like to have a town hall where we can give our feedback in the future of that building. Or you can contact me. I'm the chair of the education committee for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Molden. I'm going to move on to our last committee report, the Altadena Fire Recovery Fund. Before we do, I'll remind the public that next will be general public comment. I believe we have two up here. If you're holding one or if you have a public comment, please hand them to either of the council members on the end of the tables. Go ahead, Chair Marona.
Thank you. The Altadena Eaton Fire Recovery Fund, as I've announced every month, has given away $550,000 in 600 grants. We received 3,000 applications, so we have 2,400 people still in need of grants. We are hopeful that we will receive the money that was will be generously donated next month from the LA Sheriff's Department, from the Run, and from a few other donation sources. That will conclude the Altadena Eaton Fire Fund next month once we complete all of the grants, once we tally up the amount of donations that are given. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Marona. And we're moving to general public comment. Councilmember Yu.
During general public comment, any person may address the Altadena Town Council. The Altadena Town Council welcomes public participation and input. Comments are limited to no more than 2 minutes. The council does not respond to public comment during meetings. If a response is desired, the comment will be given to the appropriate council member. We received 2 this evening. First up is Clarence Martin. Clarence, are you here?
The comment that I've made, basically it has to do with the permitting, part of the permitting process that you have to go through as a person that's rebuilding. And that has to do with the will served letters that the county is requiring from the water companies for the tenant, for the homeowners. And the biggest problem that I found here is that we've got at least 3 different water companies in Altadena, and each one is different as far as the fees that they're charging and the processes that they make you go through to get the will serve letter. And I have been given, for one company, 2 different prices that were charged to 2 different residents. One was for $200, one was for $400. I personally paid Rubio Canyon $350 for my letter. And I got nothing from them to show who they've let this contract out to look at these plans, review these plans, and give me any comment back. So I'm actually asking the town council to reach out to their county supervisors and see if we can get this kind of unified into a standard format to make sure that everybody's being treated equally by the water companies. That's it.
Thank you. Next up, Eddie Aparicio. I hope I said that right.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for everything you've been doing here. My name's Eddie Aparicio. This is my very patient dog, Dune. I'm an Altadena resident. I live on Beverly Way, just a few blocks from here. I lost my home. But I'm happy to say that we're submitting for our permits on Friday. I wanted to come here and present the introduction of a project that I've been working on. I'm an artist, a local artist here, and I was approached by the Dina Rise Coalition to come up with an art installation in Altadena that would commemorate the 1-year fire anniversary. So we've been working with several organizations and in conversation with LA County, Parks and Rec, to come up with this, what I believe is a really great healing project. The essential aspects of the project would be that it would be located at Triangle Park. And my experience and the experience of many other people is the wind has become kind of a traumatic experience after the fires. And that was something that I really wanted to address in this project. So the essential aspects of the project are that we want to install a very streamlined wind turbine to power kind of light boxes of businesses that were burned and use that as a separate, vehicle to display other aspects of Altadena's history. Except this wind turbine is off-grid and it's directly connected to the lights. So when the wind is active, the lights turn on. And when the wind is not active, the lights are off. And so for us, it was this way of thinking about the wind in a very productive, beautiful aspect. One of the things I've loved living in Altadena is the windy foothill aspect of it. And so we believe that this project would be a really great way as people start to move back and rebuild to rethink their relationship with the wind and the land. I would love to talk about it further, but I just wanted to introduce the project and myself. Thank you.
Eddie, hi. Did you send that information to the council today? I believe we got that information.
Yes, I did. I
Thank you.
sent
Okay.
just a one-page narrative and also just some renderings. We've been in conversation with engineers and architects and arborists to kind of get all of these factors
Great,
together.
thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. We're going to move on to census tract reports. 8.1, 4610. Who from 4610 is doing the report? Anton, go ahead.
So giving a report for the great census tract of 4610. As a bit of a trivia, we've got the headquarters of the AYSO soccer team, and so for our future needs of resources and safety, I've been told they have a large stash of participation trophies, so if we need that. A couple of updates. We're going to do some canvassing later on this month. Isis and I will be canvassing to hear from our residents, looking for comments and questions. And so make sure that all that's taken into consideration. Make sure your voice is heard as we move forward in our process for a number of things that are happening there. The second thing is that for Jackson School, there's going to be some parking and street sweeping changes. The board's voting on that and affecting streets adjacent to Jackson Elementary School. The board letter to adopt the street sweeping regulations is expected to go through the school board on March 17th, and we'll continue to share updates on that as this item advances. We want to give a shout out for those of you who have not had a chance to go by there. The Frontline Relief Foundation, which has an incredible operation there on Glen Rose and Woodbury. They serve about 300 families every single week, and they've been operating directly in our area. They've served Eaton Canyon survivors, or Eaton fire survivors, and they've distributed over $5 million in disaster relief. Doing that on an operational budget of less than $8,000. So just wanted to make sure I acknowledge them, and you know, they're looking to expand their services and looking for collaborations, and they're looking for ways to work with us to further our goals and explore potential synergies, and we'll push out additional information to the town council there as well. Last but not least, because I love a good party, we want to make sure that we share information about the upcoming Destructo to Constructo neighborhood gathering on Navarro Avenue, just north of Woodbury, on February 1st from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's a community building event honoring recovery, resilience, and moving forward together with activities for all ages. That's it for 4610.
Thank you, Councilmember. We'll move on to 4601. Councilmember Whirlidge.
I did have some slides for this. Were those able to be shown? Okay, great, thanks. I mean, it's the, no, actually, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm the new guy. I'm overperforming. It's the two newbies doing the census reports. So while that's getting going, I did want to introduce myself because Anton and I are the two new members. So I'm the newest council member for 4601. And on the screen here, you will see my email up there. Yeah, it's warming up. Yeah.
Fading into view.
I'm fading into view, yes. So, and just very briefly, I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible, but so that's how to contact me. And then also just wanted to point out that, we lost our home as well. We also submitted our rebuild application, so we hope to be back soon. So next slide, please. Thank you. So I just wanted to briefly talk about an issue that really pertains to my census tract, but also I think relates to the broader Altadena as a whole. One of the issues that I started working on very early on after the fire was understanding what technically is called an on-site wastewater treatment system, otherwise known as septic or cesspool systems. So as you can see, my census tract 4601 is the blue area, and you can see that all of those dots on the screen right there are sites where there's on-site wastewater treatment systems. There's a total of 600 in Altadena, so that means roughly 1 in 10 residents that were affected by the fire, meaning their homes were destroyed, is dealing with this issue. So that's a lot of people who are currently rebuilding. In 4601, about 74% of the total on-site wastewater treatment systems are contained within that census tract. So this is a really important issue for us. We can go to the next slide, thanks. So what's the dilemma here? And you could tell I've been really passionate about this issue because my son is actually doing drawings for me of our own on-site wastewater treatment system. There's the picture on the right there. So there's a number of petitions currently with the county for creating what's called community improvement districts. And this is the method whereby you can petition the county to evaluate your area for sewer extensions. My personal neighborhood has done this, and I know a lot of neighborhoods within the census tract have also done this. So I just wanted to briefly go through that process because residents ultimately must vote for a CID before the funding can be sought. And so that's really important in a rebuild scenario where design and financial decisions are being made around what has to be done with your on-site wastewater treatment systems. So it's a critical timing component to a rebuild. So, just one second before we move on. So I wanted to highlight that issue because currently residents will have to be given basically a scope for that sewer extension into the area, and they will have to vote on whether to assess that to the individual parcel taxes within that community. And that's critical because that may or may not be cheaper than rebuilding an on-site wastewater treatment system. But the funding for that is not going to be available for a while due to the nature of the county's effort to implement this tax increment financing, which we heard about before, the EIFD. So I just wanted to highlight that issue because it's critical that residents are aware that when they're making these decisions about rebuilding, that they need to be paying attention to their on-site wastewater treatment systems, which are extremely expensive and important component of their rebuild process. So now we can move on to the next slide. So I also wanted to highlight that as mentioned, there are 3 mutual water companies in Altadena. The 2 that primarily make up Census Tract 4601 are Las Flores and Rubio Canyon. And I just wanted to mention that Las Flores is holding a meeting this Thursday at the main library at 6 p.m. And they will be discussing a fire recovery charge. And this is a one-time fee of $3,000 that they're proposing that that would be assessed to shareholders within the company. And as many of you know, we are all shareholders of these mutual water companies if you are a landowner in Altadena. So that meeting is happening at 6 at the library on Thursday. I wanted people to be aware of that. And then secondly, Rubio Canyon is also proposing a similar fee for their shareholders as well. So I just want people who are shareholders of Rubio Canyon also to be aware that there's a similar proposal for them. And then we can go to the next slide. So just wanted to highlight
we
why
will
this
have
is.
to wrap it up.
Sorry, this is the last slide and we're done.
You'll go through an orientation, and this is incredible information, but I definitely would suggest, and Councilmember Carmody, one of you to maybe start a utilities committee where
Agreed.
this would be more appropriate to discuss. So if you can wrap it up, we definitely need to explain what the census tract reports are, and we've gone way beyond that scope, but please finish.
Okay, apologies. So I just wanted to highlight why it's important. The county is encouraging these 3 mutual water companies to look into consolidation. And currently, while they're not consolidated, that affects the ability for these companies to access capital for improvements. And that affects our census tract and every census tract. So, and I just wanted people to be aware that as shareholders, we have a say in how these companies are managed and how they move forward. So thank you very much.
I know Clarence in particular will be happy to maybe be on your committee.
Absolutely.
So let's discuss that at the next, but I thank you and I thank the council. I will accept a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to
Motion
adjourn.
and second. We are adjourned at 9:58. Council members, we are to put the chairs to the wall and get rid of half the chairs and put the tables to the walls.